Hey friends, how is everyone doing today? It's Sunday. I know I'm using a little bit of a different technology, like I'm using my computer for the first time with this instead of my phone. So I hope
It's a very weird thing.
I hope that it sounds okay. If anyone is in the chat and is like, what the fuck is going on? This is what the fuck is going on, is that like trying to use technology. But it's Sunday. We're here to talk comics. It's my favorite day of the week other than New Comic Book Day. Mars, how are you doing today?
I don't know. I think this might be my favorite day of the week. Even before New Comic Book Day.
Even before New Comic Book Day, yeah.
Even before New Comic Book Day.
It's like right there.
Right there.
But we wouldn't have today if it wasn't for New Comic Book Day, but I'm sure we would still hang out even if...
We would still find a way to talk about comics, let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure. I want to go ahead and because just so everyone knows, we are going to dive into a couple things today. If you already know what our Sunday show is like, you know that our Sunday show pretty much consists of us bullshitting about this week's comics, but it's an extra special show because we are also going to bullshit about last month's new issues, new series, first appearances, and all of that. And then we're also going to talk about what's coming up in July, the things that you should be pre-ordering with your LCS
and your fancy money.
And with your fancy money. Is that the new dumb bitch money? Is the fancy
dumb bitch money is fancy money? Oh, we're definitely going to tell you some dumb bitch money to spend, because not only are we going to tell you some wonderful comics to pre-order, but some wonderful covers. Mm-hmm. So hold on to your wallets, guys.
I thought you were going to say hold on to your butts. Hold on
to your wallet that is by your butt.
There you go.
There it is.
I'm going to say hello to a couple people in the chat. I do, of course, want to say hello to Travis, TM Nerdy, who is always here first and foremost. I know he said that he may not be here the whole time, but that's okay. And then hello to Brandon with Comics Kings. I know you have a show with Dan later today, so hopefully we'll be catching that. Happy Sunday. Hello, Todd Christian. How are you doing today? Also, we've got John Thomas, good evening, Jennifer and Mars, so good to see you. Hello to PJ King, hi all. Big old howdy to everybody.
Howdy hey.
Howdy hey, howdy hi. And then hello to our local friend. How are you doing today? Let's see. And then we've also got TC Jodri. But either way, I'm probably butchering that. So
TC's in the chat.
TC, I guess. I'll try not to do the last name and fuck it up. Okay. We've also got Rogue Trader in here, popping in to say hi. I know he said something about like catching the grandkids, which is so cool. If anyone hasn't checked out Rogue Trader, he does some really cool stuff with like pressing and restoration with especially getting your comics ready if you're going to be sending them off to CGC or CBCS. So to go get graded. So that is super, super cool. And then hello to Banshee Queen. Hiya. So good to see you. And then we've got Unruly Simeon. Thank you so much for being here. And then one of our favorite people. Hello. Good morning to V. It's
so glad you could make it.
So glad. And so I guess it's 10 a.m. Monday morning there. So it's the Monday.
She's in the future.
And John okay. I think and then we've got hi Julie, my fave comic ladies. Oh, thank you so much. That's so sweet. I appreciate that.
It makes us feel so special.
It really does. And then hello to Rob's Fat Stacks of Comics. That's what we got here, folks. We've got this is like half my stack right here.
It's a big week. It's a lot of stuff. There was a lot of like announcements this week too. So like, you want to real quick blow by some of those, because I think some of those are really exciting.
Oh my goodness. I know we were like talking about some of them. So there's a couple different castings that are like pictures that we saw. So we got to see some fancy pictures of Hawkeye.
In a comic accurate costume, and I'm just like, it only took us 10 years. I still don't like Jeremy Renner as Hawkeye.
I'm a little bit hesitant though when it comes to the costume, because I feel like a lot of times when they do that, whenever they're like, we're going to give you a little bit of a snippet of what you think is going to be comic book accuracy, they'll come out and be like, just kidding, they're actually wearing a different costume for 99%.
Let me have this. Hear me out. Let me have this. So we got Hawkeye in a semi-comics accurate costume, heavily inspired by the new run, ironically, by Matt Rosenberg and Otto Schmidt. And then we saw Kate Bishop a couple months ago teased, and she seemed to be in a pretty comics accurate costume, or at least as accurate and as realistic as you can make a skin-tight purple jumpsuits with weird holes cut out in your hips. I still will never understand that costume design choice, but it is what it is, and there are definitely worse costumes out there. We also got to see the first images of Kamala Khan in her costume, and I will say, even as somebody who's not like a huge Kamala fan, I love what she's done for comics. I love what she's been able to do for comic fans and just like pop culture fans in general. She might not be one of my favorite characters, but seeing her look like she literally stepped off a page, there's something about it that like gives you the heebie-jeebies.
And I think why that was done was because whenever her character came out, I think she's like a relatively new character. Like, I'm not going to go into the whole like Miss Marvel and Carol Danvers and all of that. Like, obviously that character kind of has some history and legacy. However, when it comes to her character, the Kamala Khan Miss Marvel, I think that it's perfect. So we get to see, you mentioned that her like character and her costume looks like she just jumped right off a page. And I think that's because they did such a good job with her initial look and her initial profile that we don't really need to change it. And most of the people who are going to get into Kamala Khan don't necessarily have they don't need to have I don't think that you need to read all of Carol Danvers and
truth.
You don't need to read all of that to just be able to get into Kamala Khan. So I'm really excited for that.
Exactly.
I feel like a lot of what's going on now in the comic book community, like obviously comics are really popular. So her first appearance in Captain Marvel 10 or 11, whatever one it is, like her first like appearance is skyrocketing. And I would like, but it is what it is.
And then if we jump over to the other side, so if we jump over to DC also had a couple of announcements as well. So we finally got to see the first look of Naomi on the new CW show, which not a fan of CW. However, the reveal that they did for Naomi was literally an homage to the cover for Naomi #1. It was like spot on, and it was so cool to see it. There were some minor differences, but I actually like this updated look that they're giving Naomi in the TV show versus what she had in the comics. So that's really, really exciting. And then your girl's really excited about this one. So we are getting a Green Lanterns either show or movie on HBO Max. And they casted your girl's husband, Guy Gardner. So as the sole member of the Guy Gardner fan club and his wife, if I might add, the sole member and his wife, I am very excited to see Guy Gardner. And who they chose for his casting, I can't think of the guy's name, but the person that they chose for his casting, I'm just like, you're going to look so cute and you're going to be such a douchebag. And I just can't wait.
So remind me what show is it like a Green Lantern show?
It's a whole Green Lantern show. So people are thinking that they are going to cast Kyle Rayner and Jon Stewart and possibly pull in some other people. I personally would love to see Kyle because that's another Green Lantern that has not really gotten a lot of face value time. They really haven't done anything with him in the comics recently, and I don't think he's ever really been adapted either in animated or live action. So I'm just excited because the Green Lantern Corps as a whole is massive. So you can bring in some really interesting characters and even create some new really interesting characters. So
I wouldn't be surprised if they did that, if they, even if just for a moment, or even just if they were background.
What if we get Sojourner?
That's honestly what I'm hoping for, but since Joe is, I wouldn't be surprised if she came in like a season 2, or if she came in a little bit later, especially with the way that I feel like DC does things, is that they're very true to like their big name characters first, and then all of the other characters obviously secondary.
Mm-hmm.
So I wouldn't be surprised if like if there's a show, if Joe ends up coming in.
Oh,
Like,
absolutely.
and seriously, just have to say, if anyone is, I'm not a Green Lantern person. Like, I'm not a Green Lantern person. I know like minuscule knowledge about Green Lantern, and I wouldn't ever pick up a Green Lantern book, but I'm so glad that I picked up Far Sector because it made me give a shit about Green Lantern. And I'm sorry, I'm probably like pissing a whole bunch of people off by like, what? You don't like Green Lantern? How are you a comic book fan? But
It's not for everybody. It's a massive universe.
But I feel like I've gotten into it because of Far Sector, and I feel like it appeals to the sci-fi nerd in me more than like.
Oh, for sure.
We also got something that I am super excited for. We also got a trailer for Sweet Tooth, which I'm really excited about because if anyone hasn't read Sweet Tooth, I feel like it hits all of those buttons where it's like sweet and adorable, but also
really dark and really heavy. Absolutely.
So I'm really excited to see Sweet Tooth. What else? What else have
we got? Invincible. So I personally haven't seen any of Invincible yet. I'm planning on it. I just haven't had the time. But Invincible got renewed for not 1, but 2 new seasons. So this makes me really, really excited because not only is it a big comic, adaptation that is getting all of this massive reception and renewals, it feels like The Boys all over again, for lack of a better word. And it's on Amazon Prime too, which is ironic that it's doing so well over on a platform like that, which admittedly everybody in America has, but maybe doesn't use.
I feel like it's definitely like, for me, it's like maybe Netflix or Hulu. Those are kind of interchangeable. Disney Plus, like, I guess those are like the premier ones that I think about.
Yeah.
And I think about other ones, like as much as I love horror, I feel like Shudder isn't always my go-to for movies. And then maybe Amazon. There are a couple of shows that I love on Amazon Prime, like Fleabag. Did you watch that one?
I've seen bits and pieces.
I love it. So curious to see. Spoiler alert, I didn't love Invincible, but I've only read the first volume. Couldn't really get into the first episode. Like, I watched maybe like 20 minutes and I'm like, I can't really tell if I like this or not. Let me wait, and haven't gone back. So someone please tell me if it's worth it.
Oh, I think the people are saying it's worth it 100%.
Yeah. Jessica Cruz. Yep. Let's go ahead and see here. Jon Stewart, Justice League Animated. I'm excited for Invincible. I loved episode 1. Okay, so you really liked episode 1, haven't gone back to it. V, I'm curious about that. First season of Invincible on Prime was great. Okay, so got some fans.
The people have spoken.
The people have spoken, so maybe we'll do like a review. Like, we just get drunk, watch Invincible, and then come back with all of our drunk.
Ooh, that could be fun.
So, are you ready to get into some? Are you ready to get into some comic books from this week?
Yeah, I think so. We've got a lot to talk about. Well, yes and no for comics in terms of how much there is. There was definitely some bold choices. I don't know. I guess, should we dive right into it?
Let's just dive right into it. Kind of thinking about this week's worth of comics. I feel like I got a lot. Some of these are probably going to be like extra covers, and so some of those are duplicates. Even though it's still a pretty nice, like, healthy looking stack. But I feel like there weren't too many things that really stood out to me this week.
I can agree with that. I can think of maybe 3 books, and one book in particular. Well, maybe 4 books, but one book in particular that really, really stood out to me and was like, okay, this is definitely my pick of the week. I feel like I should maybe just jump into that one.
Do it.
So I was really excited about this book. I talked about it over on C-List Villains when I was featured there of the book I was most excited for this week. But if I'm being honest with you, I had picked this book for other reasons. And the book I'm talking about is Robin #1 from DC Comics. Oh my God. This was so... Listen, I don't know what the hell DC Comics is doing right now, okay? Between Nightwing and between Teen Titans Academy, and we'll even throw Wonder Woman in there. It feels like DC Comics is finally becoming the publisher that I always wanted them to be, where it's bringing all of these characters to light and it's fun and just fantastic. So Robin, I don't know if it's a maxi series. I don't believe it's a maxi series because it doesn't say one out of like most of the maxi series have been right now. I believe it's just ongoing. However, we find Damian Wayne mourning the after effects of the Tom King Batman run. As we are seeing with a lot of the Bat books right now, it feels like a lot of the Bat books right now are focusing on the death of Alfred and how different members of that family are dealing with it. So in Nightwing, we saw, him get the will from Alfred and the inheritance from Alfred. In Robin, he's kind of run off because in the Batman run, Damian, in a way, is ultimately to blame for Alfred's death. So he has now run off and, is going to fight in this pit. I believe they called it the Lazarus Challenge or something along those lines. Lazarus Challenge. He basically is proving that he is the best fighter in the universe. And so he goes and he fights a bunch of people and basically deals with his grief. And in talking with his grief, there's a scene that I had to read a couple times because the way that it's presented is a little awkward. But there's a scene where Damian is sitting out on a dock and he's reading manga. And there's actually a couple of manga pages in this book that I thought were really, really cute. I think that's a really nice touch in the book. But we see him speaking to somebody, and it turns out that he's speaking to Alfred, and he's having this conversation basically with himself, but it's to Alfred, and it's kind of heartbreaking. But then after that, it's just Damian doing what he does best, and that's, making insults and kicking people in the face. However, I understand that this is a Robin book. Yeah. I get that. This is a Robin book. It says Robin. It's a Bat book. This is a love letter to Green Arrow fans and to Green Arrow himself because, listen, hear me out.
The biggest Green Arrow fan.
I am the biggest Green Arrow fan, and there's nobody that can take that title from me. So I was excited about this book because we are finally getting Connor Hawke reintroduced into the DC Comics continuity. And if you've heard me complain here or on my channel personally, I've missed that boy a whole lot. And he has not been a continuity comic. He's been in a couple one-shots, but he has not been in a continuity comic in like 13 years. So to see him come back makes me really, really excited. However, there are a couple other mentions to Green Arrow characters in this book. So there is a mention to Richard the Savage Dragon, which is a big Green Arrow character. And then in the background of a couple panels, you see Draken Constantine, which is another villain for Green Arrow who I personally love and would love to see more done with. So I'm like, am I going to get an actual Green Arrow spinoff title, like actual title soon? Like, I'm fine with that. So I'm really excited. I added this instantly to my pool because not only am I in it for the Green Arrow characters, like, hear me out, I'm in it for the Green Arrow characters, but this was just a really, really great book. I feel like this is something like, does King Shark know? I can also be the biggest King Shark fan. I can be multiple fans. I really, really like this book.
Sorry.
Is that like OnlyFans? It's like OnlyFans.
Multiple fans.
Mars fans. I feel like this is very similar to Nightwing, where you can pick this book up without really knowing anything and still have a good time and enjoy it. I do feel like Nightwing definitely has more of a casual appeal to it, like Hawkeye did. But this is still, if you haven't picked it up, if you were considering it, pick this one up. All right, there we go. I talked 10 minutes about Robin.
I'm going to come in with a hot take and say I really enjoyed this, but I feel like, you mentioned that it is very similar to Nightwing, and I feel like there definitely seems to be a theme that's going on. where Robin, Nightwing, and you'd be so proud of me. I did end up finally reading. I did read Teen Titans Academy 1.
It only took her a month, guys.
Only took me a month, and I'm like, fuck, issue 2 is coming out. I haven't read issue 1. Let me just go ahead and read this. So I did. So I do feel like between those 3 books, it's very, very similar. Hot take, I enjoyed Nightwing a lot more. Like if I had to compare this to another book, like Nightwing is definitely going to, it's the one doing it for me. I don't know if I'm going to add this one to my pull list. I may end up picking it up, but I will let my stack that week tell me, because I'm not in control. I don't know if y'all know this, but I'm not personally in control of how many books I pick up. I just let the books tell me if they get picked up. That's why I get so many. So I'll see next month if Robin number 2 is like, okay, you're going to pick me up. So maybe I will.
But that's a fair take. I just feel like, because like I said, Nightwing I feel like has a way more casual fan appeal. Yeah. And I know you definitely tend to swing towards Marvel, whereas I tend to swing towards DC Comics. So for me, finally getting good DC books that don't all feel the same feels like a thirsty bitch in a desert. Okay, that's how I feel right now, is DC is finally watering me and giving me food and nourishment. And where's that Gordon Ramsay gift where he's like, finally some delicious fucking food? That is how I feel right now with Titans Academy, with Robin, with I was gonna say Green Arrow, but maybe that'll come eventually, with, you know, Nightwing and all them. Like, I finally feel like DC's finally getting back to where they used to be.
Yeah. I feel like I just came from reading like all of the DC Future State books, and they were like, you know, there were some hits, there were some misses. At the end of the day, it did feel like there were a lot that I'm like, why the fuck am I reading this? But I like all of these do feel like a breath of fresh air, which I really enjoy. Speaking of another, really quick, just to kind of end on this note with Robin, I might pick up issue number 2, and the only reason why is because I wouldn't be surprised if there were a lot more first appearances, because, correct me if I'm wrong, Flatline is a first appearance in Robin number 1.
And she's precious, and I love her, and I would die. Oh, and this book also has Ravager, and I love Rose Wilson. She is one of my favorite characters, and I feel like putting her with Damian Wayne, where they're both these little edgy little bastards. Like, I just feel like that's perfect. Like, why haven't we done that before? You know, you're always shoving her with Tim Drake. No, don't shove her with Tim Drake. Shove her with the other edgy person. But yeah, I really this book. Really surprised me. I went into this book just expecting like, oh, okay, like I'm looking for all the Connor Hawke parts. Like, this is why I'm here. But for me to actually enjoy it from the get-go, and Damian Wayne is my favorite Robin. He's not my favorite Batboy. He's not my favorite Batboy, but I think as Robin, being the son of Batman, it just feels very natural. I don't know. I just really fucking like this book. Okay, continue.
Sorry, speaking of another DC book, I don't know if you're picking up Harley Quinn. I didn't know if you didn't really care for issue number 1. Once again, it surprised me. I like where it's going. I think that this book is picking up from all of the Joker stuff. Harley is becoming her own person. Not that she's never, there's been moments where she is, moments where she's not. So I do really like where this is going. I think that she's an absolute cutie here.
Her redesign is perfect.
And I just all around really, really like this Harley Quinn. So I'm definitely going to keep picking this one up for no other reason than it's almost like a palate cleanser in a way. So
yeah, definitely is. Also from DC Comics, we got Teen Titans Academy number 2. I really like this book a lot. This one's also going to be going onto my pool list. I know I already briefly talked about it, you know, earlier today, and then, you know, of course, we talked about number 1, but this book continues to just be a lot of fun. I really like just seeing the Titans kind of interact with each other. I also like the fact that we're seeing a lot of, you know, representation. So with Teen Titans number 1, or Teen Titans Academy number 1, we had a non-binary character. In this one, we have a Stitches, who I think might be the child of Ragdoll, which would be really cool. But Teen Titans Academy number 2 features a disabled character who is actually a speedster. So it is how do I phrase this? She is in a wheelchair. We don't know why, but she is disabled from the waist down. However, she has attachable legs, and therefore she becomes a speedster. And I'm like, I just really, really like all of the representation that's coming out of Titans Academy. So it's another one where, like you said, it's like a palate cleanser. It's really fun. I'm loving it a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. So I had finally read issue 1 to get into issue number 2. Really like it. Very surprising. Pretty much everything that I had heard about, obviously, because I've been hearing about this book for a month. So honestly, I was like, okay, is it going to be enough for me, having like heard about it for a month? And it was pretty interesting. I definitely get where there are a lot of like that tropiness, right? Where it's like, well, we're this ragtag team of young.
It has an X-Men vibe to it.
It does, especially be thinking about Strange Academy and like everything that that's been, has been going on with Marvel. But I think that that's always been a trope, no matter what. So it's not new to Teen Titans Academy. I'm still thoroughly enjoying this, though. It was a good read. I really don't have much more to say other than it was a good read. I liked it. It's fun. Was there any more DC books that came out?
I don't think so. But Josue says, I have to know who Canon Red X is now. Josue, we are never going to learn who Red X is. This is a marketing ploy and they are winning. We will never know who Red X is. I've just accepted that fact.
That's honestly because I think that when we were reading Future State, it was like, there's going to be a reveal on who Red X is, and there never was. And then we're in this, and it's like Red X, like with the mask, and
Red X is showing up in Suicide Squad and showing up in all of these other covers, and we're never going to find it out, and I've accepted that. That's okay.
Who knows at this point? It's actually surprising DC hasn't done something like Teen Titan. That's very, very true. Okay. I think that was it for DC, at least this week.
Should we jump across to the other big one?
Jump across to Marvel.
Okay.
And I know you don't pick up too much Marvel.
Yeah, I only have 2 books for Marvel.
What are those 2 books?
So this one I have to be very careful with because for whatever reason, because here's the thing, y'all comic people are insane. Like, listen, we're comic people too, but the speculator market is batshit crazy, absolutely insane. So this is Black Widow.
It's all made up and the points don't matter.
All made up and the points don't matter. So this is Black Widow number 6. This book, you can't even get it anymore right now for cover price because it is spiking to like $20 a pop, and it makes no sense to me. Because listen, I just read this title. I was like, okay, why is it spiking? Don't care. This is the start of a new arc, a new costume. I really, really like this. Black Widow continues to be really, really great. I was a little worried because this issue is not Elena Casagrande, who was doing the art normally. She stepped away for one issue, and now it's Rafael De La Torre. But the artwork from De La Torre is absolutely gorgeous. Honestly, feels like the same book, just slightly stylistically different. Listen, y'all, if y'all are sleeping on this Black Widow run, I need y'all to pick it up because as somebody who really did not care for Black Widow, I love this book to itty bitty pieces. It's definitely one of my favorite things right now.
The trade just came out literally last week. So you can get the first trade. It looks like it is
1 through 5.
1 through 5, it's $15. I mean $15.99. So you can get the first, read all of it, and then go ahead and try to pick up this. Hopefully the spec market hasn't inflated it too much, but
But my elevator pitch for this book is simple. If you are liking or liked Joelle Jones's Catwoman, then you need to pick this up because it's got the same fluid style, the same snappy dialogue, and it's just a hell of a lot of fun. And it's definitely a story that you can pick up without... We all know who Black Widow is. We've all seen the movies. You can pick this book up with just that knowledge and you'd be fine.
Oh, for sure. And I think I like books like that for that very reason, because even though obviously Black Widow has a lot of history, and you could go in, there's so many different runs of her comic book, but I think that you can definitely go into Kelly Thompson's run and just literally run with it. There's a couple things that are mentioned, like, you know, the Red Room and, you know, like things like that, and knowing a little bit of Marvel history, especially in this first trade, I think will get you by. But it's such like blips of knowledge that it's fine. Go ahead and just pick up Black Widow
and have a good time.
Have a good time. That's, you know, that's
my sales pitch for Black Widow. Like, listen,
I don't know, if it doesn't get you with that, then it's probably not going to get you.
Good book.
What was the other Marvel book that you got this week?
The other Marvel book I got, and I'm probably going to drop. This is Darth Vader number 11. Listen here. If y'all been watching the show, if y'all been watching my channel, I loved this book. This was like my favorite book that I was picking up every month. It was always the first thing I wanted to read. The past couple issues have been kind of poo-poo, doo-doo, don't like it. So I think what I really enjoyed about the first 2 arcs, because right now we're kind of like wrapping up the second arc, moving on to a third arc. What I really liked about the first arc is that I'm a prequel hoe. So it really played up the prequels in the first arc of Darth Vader. We got to see him go back to Naboo and try to find Padme, and a bunch of characters from the prequel showed up. Then in the second arc, we got to see him kind of go off against Darth Sidious, and they kind of had their own thing, and it was very emotional. It made me a big baby crying wreck. Right now, we are playing into the sequels with Exegol and with all of that boring, mystical, made-up mojo. Now, granted, Star Wars is about space wizards, so it's all made up.
I know that's like your least favorite part of Star Wars, though. Like, I know that you don't
the mystical space wizards. It is, but this book is just, it feels like a chore to read right now. And considering that it started off so strong, was a book that I was praising, was probably one of my favorite books of 2020. The fact that we've kind of fallen off and it feels like the fire's starting to go out. I might hold out for like 1 or 2 more issues, but if I continue to feel the same way, I will be dropping this book and only reading it by trade.
Hear me out. I would say in my, I don't necessarily, this is not a spec channel. Like, we don't talk about speculation. We don't talk about books to flip. Like, that's not necessarily my jam, as much as, like, yes, I appreciate, like, I've got Black Widow on my pull list, and, you know, if a cover goes up to like $20 that I just bought for like $3, okay, like, I'll talk about that. But hear me out. I think that those types of books end up having a crazy first appearance that may not be like right now hot, but I think that something like that, where they're going into, like, you know, crazy backstory into the mysticism, I do think that almost any Star Wars book will become hot like that. So even if it's not the next one, it might be 2 issues from now where it probably is going to get hot. For whatever reason, there might be a first appearance in The Mandalorian or something. I don't know, because I'm bad at
channel now.
We're a spec channel. We're officially a spec channel now. I'm sorry.
We've risen in the ranks.
You either you either die talking about comic book storylines, or you live long enough to see yourself become a spec channel.
Facts.
Sorry. The 2, because I got 2 other Marvel books. I mean, technically 3, if you count, I got the second printing of the Alien cover, just because I thought it was really pretty. Even though it's not my favorite. The 2 books that I did get this week. So, MODOK Head Games number 4 came out. It was the last in the issue, and seriously, I really, really, really love MODOK a lot. Everyone by now should know that I have a thing.
It's been one of your favorite books.
It really has, and I have a thing for Patton Oswalt because he's such a cutie, and he's like kind of co-writing this, and I really can't wait for the MODOK show that comes out on Netflix or Hulu in late May.
I think it comes out in Hulu, and I think you're right, it does come out at the end of May.
So I'm really excited for it. So hopefully we get a trade of this, because there's only 4 issues. Basically, the story is that MODOK, this evil little asshole, is, you know, being an evil asshole, and he is having memories of a family that he never had. So he's trying to figure that out, while also trying to, you know, do what he was designed to do, and that's kill. This is just a wonderful, wonderful romp. with MODOK, like through the Marvel universe, because we get Gwenpool, we get to see Iron Man, and just a whole bunch of fun characters. And then we're also trying to figure out, where is MODOK's family? Why does he have a family? Since when does he have a family? So it's really, really cute. And I really liked it, and that just ended. So hopefully we'll be getting a trade of this right before the show comes out. So that's my pitch for MODOK, because it's adorable. I just want to say, I love the first 3 issues of MODOK, and I thought the ending was a letdown. I think I hear you, because I think that it did kind of have to be rushed, because at the end of issue 3 we got this like spoiler gotcha moment. And then with issue 4, it's like they've got to wrap it all up neatly. So I still really enjoyed it, because I thought it was fun. Would it be cheaper just to buy the 4 issues? You know, each one was $3.99, so $4 times 4. That's going to be $16.
So that's probably what Marvel's going to put it at, because I don't know if it's been solicited yet.
Yeah, because we will be going over July solicits, and you're right, maybe there's a trade that'll come out after the show. I hope it comes out in combination with the show.
I'm going to check right now.
Yeah. Let's see here. There have been some hilarious clips coming of that MODOK show. I haven't read issue 4 yet, but the first 3 were great. I still think issue 4 was good, but I understand if it felt rushed.
Is this MODOK Head Games?
That's correct, yep.
Okay, so it looks like it's coming out in June, at the end of June, and it will be a $16 book.
Okay, perfect. So at this point, it's probably going to be the same price to either get the issues, the single issue.
But it looks like this has 2 extra stories in it. So this collects MODOK Head Games 1 through 4, MODOK Rain Delay, and Fall of the Hulks MODOK.
Okay, so then totally, I would say get the trade. Yeah, that might actually be. Now I'm like,
might be cheaper.
Buy the single issues. I'm just kidding. I will also be buying the trade, because that's how I do. Show's going to have Mr. Sinister. Oh, does it have Mr. Sinister?
Yes.
Whew. Oh,
He's
yeah.
A cutie. He's a cutie.
And hi to Super Russ. How are you doing today? For anyone who doesn't know, Super Russ does like a daily video. So I don't know if anyone here can drop a link, but definitely go ahead and check Super Russ out. The only other Marvel book that I got this month was Beta Ray Bill, and this book is, to me, it feels so much like Guardians of the Galaxy, but in such a fun, like more unique way. Basically, the whole premise is that Beta Ray Bill wants to fuck Lady Sif, and she doesn't want to fuck him until he gets back in his like kind of semi-human form and not the horse god thing. So he's trying to go back to be human. That's basically the premise of this whole...
Is that the whole premise of the story?
That's basically the whole premise of the story.
Okay.
In this issue, he goes to try to find Odin, who's like working at a bar, and
as Odin does on his time off.
Yeah. And it is really cute, even though I totally just like, this is basically the premise. And I feel like that's why it feels like a comedy to me, because there's these moments that are so serious where he's like, I need to get back into this form. Like, Stormbreaker is broken. I need another weapon. What can we do? I've got to go to Netalever or whatever. And I can't. So the entire time I'm like, man, this is such a good story. Oh, it's because he wants to fuck a lady. Makes sense. So, but I still really like it. So that's all I have for Marvel. But I've still got some other. Do we want to go over Image next? Did you pick up?
I only have, other than, so we had crossover number 6, which I did not read. However, Jen and I had a very interesting conversation on Wednesday.
Hold on. I need to set the mood for everyone.
Oh, here we go.
For what happened on Wednesday. I was getting ready. Like, I was getting ready for a podcast, and Mars calls me up. I'm gonna call you out. You were a little bit tipsy, and you're like, Jen, let's go live. And I'm like, I would love to. I can't, but I love you. So, okay, well, I'm just going to tell you about the comics. And like, you literally like, I'm like, okay, I got my stack here. And you're like, oh my God, Jen, crossover. Oh my God, this character shows up. Oh my God, this character shows up. It was amazing. It was.
Wish y'all had been there. But I vaguely remember I did not read crossover number 6 yet, but I do vaguely remember flipping through crossover number 6, seeing Savage Dragon, I think that's who it is, show up, and Witchblade show up, and my buddy Gert from I Hate Fairyland. So I got very, very excited in my intoxicated mood. And if I'm being quite honest with you, I think I would have been as excited even if I was sober, because I fucking love Gert and I love I Hate Fairyland. And if I'm being quite honest, seeing all of these Image comic characters is what I wanted from crossover since the beginning. So I'm mad that it took 6 issues. I'm still probably going to drop it from my pull list though, if I'm being quite honest.
This, I am going to go ahead and put like the big kind of like reveal splash page up for just a second. So anyone who hasn't seen it, just like close your eyes.
Close your eyes.
Close your eyes. Okay, let me see if I can do this. So you get this huge party going on here. There's a lot of different characters that show up. Like, I literally feel like you could get lost in this.
Oh, that's right. And Hit Girl shows up too. I remember in my drunken stupor being excited over Hit Girl.
Yeah. Because I think, like I said, I had literally like just sat down and I'm like, I haven't had a chance to read. I've got to read like all these other things. But yeah, like you could literally get lost. Oh, and then like I remember you were like, oh, and the dude from Black Hammer shows up. So,
to be fair, his name, I can't even think of his name sober.
And the reason why is because you were like, oh, the weird guy from Black Hammer, what's his name? He's a weird guy. What's his name? And I'm like, Colonel Weird.
Could not remember Colonel Weird's name while intoxicated.
You can just remember it sober. I mean, if you're sober, I don't know. That's me assuming. I really love crossover. I'm still going to keep it on my list, especially because Donny Cates isn't going to be writing it next season or next arc. It's going to be Chip Zdarsky who's going to be writing it. So I would really like that.
I think my biggest complaint about crossover, and that crossover, that's the name of the book. I want to see the Lion Cat show up and just rip out people's throats. I think that would be the coolest shit in the world. And being that, I feel like Saga, other than maybe like The Walking Dead, maybe Invincible right now, being that Saga is Image Comics like moneymaker, why wouldn't you throw that? Maybe they'll show up later.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Oh, you said you haven't read it, so I'm not necessarily gonna so there's kind of a spoiler at the end. I think that once you read it through and read it sober, you might change your mind, but
read it through and read it sober. I see how that is. Listen, I just call people when I'm drunk and talk about the comics that I love and tell people how much I love them. It's fine. Don't we all do that?
I'm here for it. The next thing that I know that you haven't been reading this, but the next thing that I got from Image was Department of Truth.
Mm-hmm. This was the start of a new arc, wasn't it?
It was because the last 2 issues kind of went into the past. So one went into the real past, like hundreds of years ago. And then the one before this went like a little bit more into the 70s or 80s. And this one went more into modern times. And if each issue is like a love letter to a different conspiracy theory, this love letter is to the conspiracy theories about the Denver airport. That's apparently like this do you know about these conspiracy theories?
Is that so? The Denver airport one, is that the one where they think that it's like a base for the Illuminati?
Yep, exactly.
Okay, I have heard that one.
Whole bunch of, there was the airport and then they built it and like moved, and there's a whole bunch of extra stuff that you don't see apparently, and it's also in a certain area. And then it's also, let me think, there's seriously like it's a big stretch. Like there's a mural that features people from all over the world, and people like if you go, I wouldn't necessarily say like go and watch these videos unless you 100%.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Okay, for 100% entertainment value only. But so many of the videos are like, there's this painting, there's this big mural of of people from all over the world. That means one world government. So it's just, there's some big stretches, but I love conspiracy theories in a very wholesome way, if you can call it that. So I really appreciate what this one does. Department of Truth is just really good. I agree. I know you didn't love it, but
I read the first trade last month or this month, and I recently talked about it on my channel. I was not a fan of Department of Truth. I really tried to love it. I tried to look at it with face value. I just was really bored by it. And the one part that I was not bored by it made me very uncomfortable for specific reasons. So if you want to know more about that, it's on my channel. Look at that.
I think it's your last video that you just did, right?
My most recent video. Yep.
Yeah. So I think that, because issue 4 of Department of Truth goes over like the Sandy Hook shooting and how there's a group of people on the internet who believe that the Sandy Hook shooting was all crisis actors, that all of the children who died, who were murdered, weren't actually murdered, that they were just young, budding actors and actresses that were paid to die on film so that someone could take guns. Who knows? So I really hope that there's some like fun gotcha moments in this where it's like, I hope James Tynion is basically like, this book is dedicated to everyone who takes conspiracy theories a little bit too seriously.
I will say Department of Truth was one of those books that I read and gave me the heebie-jeebies because it started to make me second guess things. Mm-hmm. The amount of research that goes into this book and into the conspiracy theories that it covers are absolutely amazing. I think that's the best part of the book, even if the way that they are presented is not a way that I personally can enjoy. But yeah, definitely started second guessing the way that I look at some things, for sure. This is one of those books that will definitely make you think and make you a little paranoid. That's the right word for it.
For sure. As someone who was like 10 years ago, I was super duper into conspiracy theories. So I feel like I have a base knowledge of them, so I can look at them and, I don't know, separate myself.
Okay.
So, but the other Image book, I know you said that you got this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Grey Castle.
Helm Grey Castle. I've got so many feelings about Helm Grey Castle.
Yeah.
So the first feeling is my new wife, the big orc queen lady.
Mm-hmm.
Very sad to know that she is straight and in a relationship with a man and has a child with a man, because then that means I don't stand a chance. But I mean, good for her. Good for her, I mean. But date me instead. Also, that Becky Cloonan cover is so gorgeous.
It's so funny is I was bagging these and I just picked it up off the shelf and I didn't even realize this was a $10 book. And what I'm saying it's a $10 book is that I paid $10 for it. It's not like I paid $3 and it's now selling for $10. It was $10 off the shelf. I love Becky Cloonan a whole bunch, but if I had like realized it was $10 when I picked it up off the shelf, I probably would have waited.
Big oops.
Yeah. But I did pick up, I think this is the A cover or the B cover. I'm not sure.
I was gonna say, I just picked up the main cover. So, so many feelings about this book. So I really liked this book when it started. At first glance, I'm like, this book literally feels like the writer's D&D campaign, and they decided that they wanted to tell the whole story and share it with all of us, which I think is great. It really feels like the perfect like D&D type book. It's a lot of fun, and the characters are really great. We get a queer romance between a dwarf and a orc. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, oh, nice. We don't ever see that. I really appreciate that. It's real subtle and real small, but I still screamed a little bit. Mm-hmm. That being said, I like the fact that it drops us in. That also being said,
there's no like build up. There's
no build up.
There's not a lot of like world building in this.
They just drop you right smack dab in the middle. And on one hand, I really like that. But as we start to get later into the book and we start to introduce all of these characters, because there are a lot of characters in this first issue, it can feel very, very overwhelming. That being said, I think some of the character designs, I think if you really like these types of fantasy books, you will definitely enjoy this. For a fact, there's a lot of really great representation in this book. I also really like the fact that there are like 6 or 7 pages dedicated to a whole D&D campaign. Like, it legit is like a dungeon master guide on how to run a mini campaign. And I think that I wish Dai had done that instead of doing it 10 years later on the internet.
I was going to say Dai does kind of it feels like it's an unofficial one. I'm really not sure. Maybe it is an official one, but I remember this past year getting into, I've never actually played Vampire the Masquerade, but the new comic book that came out, I enjoyed. At least the first arc I enjoyed, and in the back they had some like supplementary material, and it seemed pretty cool. Like I said, I don't know how to play Vampire the Masquerade, but I am a D&D person 100%. I usually DM. I usually don't like get to play a whole bunch, but I do DM. The entire time I'm reading this, I wish that I had a group that I could play this with, because the entire time I was reading this, I'm like, I really want there to be like a campaign or something. And then I get towards the back and there totally is. I just had it flipped open. Not only does it have like, here's like background information. So maybe if I read a little bit more into this background, it would give us more background into the actual story. So it'd be kind of cool if this was first in the book. So then you don't feel so just like dropped into the world. Not only is,
I love the little, they mention Axetal warriors, and I'm like, that is the cutest, most terrifying shit I have ever seen in my life. I love it. Also, this is everybody's chance in the comments to kindly bully Jen into running a D&D campaign for us, so that way we can do a D&D game live on stream for all of everybody, and we'll grab a couple people from the internet to be a part of this campaign, because I think it could be really fun, and I've been telling her we should do it for months, but I feel like if you guys kindly also say we should do it, she would feel more inclined.
I would 100% do it. So yeah, I love that this stuff in the back. There's even like little tidbits for GMs, and there's even like a little QR code where you can get like sounds and stuff. It's supposed to scan this QR code to download images and maps to enhance your campaign. So if y'all want a Helm Grey Castle campaign, let a girl know. I do also really want to go ahead and say hi really quick to Bueller. Thank you so much to be here. Sorry, all that, but forgot my phone. How do you forget your phone? I'm just kidding. I'm home now watching the show. Thank you for watching, Bueller. I really appreciate it, and I will appreciate the 5 o'clock in the morning, I assume. Last week, I don't think you had one, or it was the week before. But always appreciate your 5 o'clock Monday morning alarm clock. Let's see. I don't think we said hi to Chris the Weirdo, so thank you so much for being here. And then I've never really read anything outside of Marvel and DC, and haven't read much of anything new. I've been thinking about jumping back into indies. Oh boy, howdy.
Welcome to our channel, where all we talk about are indie books, and we tell you every single book that we love that you should also be reading.
Yeah. I think that maybe one time we'll do like a special like intro to indies episode.
Ooh.
I think that would be really fun. But that's really hard because I feel like
we love indies so much.
Get ready for like the stupidest yet funnest conversation ever.
100%.
Yeah.
Was that all from Image?
That was all Image. So the rest of the pile is just some non-Image indies.
Well, since we're talking about independence that we love and independence that you should be reading, While not for everybody, I'm going to talk about it because I loved this book this week, and that is Witchblood #2.
Really quick, I will say this. Please talk about how much you love Witchblood. It was one of the ones I haven't had a chance to read yet. So, spoiler, I read the first page, got distracted, and did not pick it back up. So I'm sorry about that.
Witchblood #2 is so great. We get so many more characters. I don't know why I didn't realize this with the first issue, but this literally feels like a more fun, modern, kind of queer, colorful True Blood. Like a better True Blood now that I'm thinking about it, because it's like witches and vampires and other mystical, magical creatures, and just, I really like that. However, there is a part in this book, I'm going to slightly spoil it, but not really.
Just only slightly.
There's a part in this book where our vampire buddy friend in Fringe, can't remember his name, but they're in a bar and he's talking about playing music on the jukebox. And it specifically tells you, note to reader, before turning the page, we encourage you to find a way to start Alan Jackson's Chattahoochee. You have to listen to it.
The Chattahoochee, it got hotter than a hoochie coochie.
You have to.
Asphalt. Is that...
Because the way that the book goes, the way that the following pages and panels come, and the way it's presented, it kind of reminds me of that scene in Sex Criminals where they say, read or listen to Fat Bottom Girls because we couldn't get the rights to it. This flat out is like, no, listen to Chattahoochee. And I'm listening to it in the background as I'm reading these couple pages, and it's just the jokes that are coming up. I can imagine it with the music in the background. And listen, this book is just genius. I love this book. It is so much fun. Agreed with Greg. Characters, the world building, the style, everything about this book. If you are not reading this book right now, listen, I don't know what to tell you. There's no hope for you. Please read Witchblood.
I feel like it's so underrated.
It's so cool.
It's such, like, seriously, it's such a fun read. It's very, very cool. It's original, but at the same time, I think that there's characters that feel very familiar, and it's because they're characters that I've wanted to see for a really long time. So when we're done here, I will probably, and I've been loving the tarot covers.
Yes, I'm now picking them up as well.
That would be very, very cool to, like, Pokemon, gotta collect them all. Like, just collect all the Witchblood. Ooh, what if they did? Well, Lisa Sturl did do Witchblood tarot. I was gonna say it'd be really cool if it became a tarot deck, and she did do one, but I don't think it's specifically Witchblood.
I don't think so either, but she might with the popularity of Witchblood. It's just a great book. It's fun. It's a lot of fun. I really like it. Have a good time with it.
Yeah.
I wish more books told me, hey, put this music on when you're reading this scene, because it definitely enhanced my reading experience 1,000%. If you have already read Witchblood #2 and did not read that scene with Alan Jackson in the background, do yourself a favor. Please reread it, put it on the background, and have a good time.
If you need me to, I'll just sing it. Just kidding, I won't. The other books, I know. I
only have 2 left from this week.
Okay. When we were talking about Image, Shadecraft was another one. Forgot that one. So I don't know if you read this one. Okay.
Because I didn't like #1.
This one was pretty good. I feel like this one got a little bit more into the horror aspect. So if you read #1 and maybe wanted it to get a little bit more creepy, I think that this one did it. So I'll leave it at that. What other, what's our next publisher?
Did you read, because you know I didn't, but I want to know, did you read, what is it? There it is. Jen knows me so well. I have the best co-host ever, y'all. I don't even have to say what I'm thinking, and she already knows it. That is the power of comic friendship.
And I knew that you weren't going to read it. And so I think I'm also going to answer this other question for you.
But I would have. Hold on. I'm going to go on a mini rant. I'm going to call out my shop. I would have read Berserker #2 because this week we saw a really dumb comics marketing move from Boom Studios. Yes, I'm going to call you out because I am fair against all publishers and I will rip everybody to pieces if I have to. So there was a deal where if you bought Berserker #2 and proved that you had #1, then you could either get or buy at cover price the Something is Killing the Children #1 Ace printing variant. Listen, I wanted this variant really bad. I love Something is Killing the Children. I just wanted the variant. I don't like Berserker, but I was willing to buy Berserker #2 so I could get the variant. Tell me why my shop had it and was selling the variant for $30 and would not allow me to buy Berserker #2 under the special promotion to get Something is Killing the Children. Okay, rant over. My shop sucks. Bye.
Yeah.
Wait, there's more bloody nipple?
There
can't be.
There's bloody nipple. Yep. So we went there. That's pretty much all I mean, there's a little bit more to Berserker.
There's more bloody.
Just one. There's only one bloody nipple, but I'm saying there's more to this story than just the bloody nipple.
At this point, there's not.
There's a more nuance to the bloody nipple story. So basically, we kind of find out the origin story of Berserker, and we find out that like his mom did like a I don't know, some type of ritual to be like, bring us a son. And their tribe, every summer, another tribe comes in and comes to steal their food, not unlike a Bug story, I guess. So it's basically like Keanu Reeves meets a Bug story where the other tribe comes and like steals their food. And they need to like give them food.
Oh, you mean A Bug's Life?
A Bug's Life, yeah. So like in A Bug's Life, where the other bugs come in to steal the other bug's food, that's the same thing that happens to Keanu Reeves. So if you watched A Bug's Life and you're like, I wish that there was a lot more bloody nipple, Berserker is for you, because his mom is like becomes pregnant with him and is like, give me a son, and she does this ritual and gets struck by lightning or something, and then she gives birth in a month or something. I don't know, it's super quick. And then he just like berserkers out and kills the tribe, I guess. So yeah. Berserker.
I still don't understand how a baby with no teeth gives a bloody I don't does he come out with teeth? Does he have teeth?
I'm going to assume, unless he's got like he's
nice vampire.
Oh. But I would also say that because in the whole world he does his gestation period is so quick, so it's like maybe he came out with teeth.
Sure. I just can't. I literally can't believe that there was more bloody nipple like that.
The Bug's Life with
I
bloody.
was joking. I feel like they added that scene in because they heard us talking about it and they were like, you know what? We just got to double down on everything and we're just going to do it twice. Oh, man.
So I actually, I was like, I don't even think that I saw the Something is Killing the Children. And I'm like, my shop knows that I got issue 1. But I still didn't get the Something is Killing the Children, but I think I forgot to ask for it. So that's probably on me. So. A Bug's Life is based on 7 Samurai.
Wait, for real?
Now that it does make sense.
I don't even know what 7 Samurai is, but I'll go look that up. That's interesting. I like all these fun facts. Please give me more fun facts. Oh no, I broke Jen. Oh no,
is basically the basis for like every single Western movie ever.
Sorry.
Go watch 7 Samurai because it's
okay.
And it's fantastic. And I mean, like I have a love-hate relationship with Westerns. I really do love them, but I love to hate them. But they're all based off samurai movies. And yes. Okay.
So what else did we read this week, Jen? I have this one, another Stephanie Phillips title called Nuclear Family.
I have it. I didn't read it. So spoil gently.
Nuclear Family. This is a slow burn. It definitely is a slow burn. I feel like this is going to be one of those books that we'll read a lot better by trade, if I'm being quite honest. However, if you're a fan of like the Fallout games or anything like that, this is like a no-brainer pickup. Stephanie Phillips' writing is still really, really solid. Like I said, my only complaint is it's very slow. So if you have not picked it up, we are already on issue 3. Definitely just hold out for the trade on this one. But when it does get collected, I highly recommend reading it because I just think it's going to get weirder It continues to get weirder. It feels like every issue we kind of push the boundary into the weirdness, but in weirdness that works and weirdness that makes sense.
I feel like that definitely has become the theme with Nuclear Family because with issue 1, there's a big event that happens at the end, and then it just gets a little bit weirder after that. Issue number 2, there's like we delve into that like little bit of a big reveal, and then it gets a little bit weirder. So I haven't read issue 3, so I heard that this one's slower than the first 2, but I think that most arcs, the issue 3 will do that. And I've really been enjoying a lot of Aftershock titles. So
yes, Aftershock has I think up there with Boom and Volt and Mad Cave, some of the best publishers right now on the market.
100% agree. Violence for violence sake equals bad fun. Yeah. I think referring to Berserker here.
100%.
And that was also forgot about this one when we were talking about Image. 2 Moons. I feel like where issue number 2 got really cosmic with the background, this one is going into like drug taking zombie excellence. I got a lot of Walking Dead vibes from it. I don't know if that's a spoiler. Don't even really know if they're zombies, but I've really been digging 2 Moons. I feel like this first arc, if it ends at like issue 5 or 6, the trade will come out right before Halloween, and it's definitely going to be one of those like, read this for Halloween. Like I feel like this is definitely
going to be a good horror read.
It's going to be a good horror read. So 2 Moons, if you like historical horror. I feel like if you liked Philadelphia, if you're reading Philadelphia right now, I feel like picking up 2 Moons is a no-brainer. Yep, no brainer whatsoever. I really hope that they do a $9.99 first volume with Image like they did with Philadelphia.
Yes.
Because then it would definitely make like top horror list for the year. The only other ones that I have on my list, I picked this one up, didn't read it yet, but Dune got that beautiful Jenny Frisson cover. Because I love that.
Jenny Frisson.
Frisson.
The only other book that I have is from Source Point Press. That is 25th, number 1. It's 3-issue miniseries. Did not like this at all. Really, really dug the premise of it, which was supposed to be violence, fistfights, and bad romance. And I can kind of see where it's going. So it's supposed to be about these like rival gangs who fight each other in fisticuffs outside on the boardwalk. But then these 2 ladies end up falling in love from the rival gangs. We get some like Romeo Juliet vibes going on, but I feel like this first issue, and with it only being 3 issues, it's very, very messy. The first issue is very, very messy. It does this really weird time shift where it starts off in the future and then jumps into the past. The writing was kind of wonky. Some of the characters were kind of wonky. Was not a fan of this. If I'm being quite honest, this reminds me of another book that came out a few years ago, I believe by Boom Studios, but it was called Curb Stomp. I feel like Curb Stomp was 100% better and kind of followed a similar premise.
I'm going to be a little bit contrarian here, and I'm going to say that I actually really dug it. I thought that the characters felt very fleshed out and real, even though whatever the fuck is going on with the premise where it's like these 2 gangs.
Like, why are people just beating up people on the streets and it's okay? Like, why? I want to live in this universe where I can just go outside and punch my neighbor because they're being too noisy. Not that I would punch my neighbor, but I'm just saying in a hypothetical world.
Yeah. I feel like they're definitely, it's kind of weird because like the spoiler alert in the flashback that we get, it's like, well, they're going, it begins where they're at a bar and it's like, okay, there's rival gangs and obviously there's a lot of personal backstories between people. And then it goes to this weird flashback where like the gang is at the boardwalk and it's like, hey gang, don't come near my gang. But they have a relationship and they're not supposed to. So I don't know if it's trying to be like Romeo and Juliet or anything like that. I'm still mildly enjoying it. It's only 3 issues, so I don't feel like it's going to be too much of a bank breaker. But once again, I think that this is definitely going to be one of those, I will let my pile choose for me if I end up picking up issue 2.
And there it is.
There it is, folks. Another book, you just mentioned where 25th felt like something that you've read before. I felt the same way when I read the Modern Frankenstein.
Okay.
I feel like I enjoyed it, and it's done by Heavy Metal, which, you know, some of their books are good. Some of them I could just leave and never think about again. But with this one, I feel like if I had to compare it to anything, I would compare it to Victor Laval's Destroyer.
Okay. I had a feeling you were going to compare it to that.
So I'd 100% compare it to that. And granted, like, I've read the volume of Destroyer by Victor Laval. So I don't, after reading the first issue, the only issue that's out, I don't know if like the whole story arc will be compared to that, but I think I liked that other one better. The entire time I'm like, this reminds me of Destroyer. This reminds me of Destroyer. So, you know, once again, we'll see. Last one I have, I did pick up a whole bunch of other stuff that I didn't get to read, like Bitter Root, I Breathed a Body, Cable, Marvel's one, Once in Future. I just haven't gotten to those. But the last book that I did read was Transformers My Little Pony, because of course
it's her favorite, y'all.
It's definitely there. How's the YouTube duo extraordinaire doing today? You know, John, it's going well.
It's always a lovely Sunday.
So much better now that you're here, John. But Transformers My Little Pony is like, part of me, like, I do call it a palate cleanser for all the weird shit that I read, but at the same time, it's a good book, and
it's hella gay, apparently.
It is very gay. Like, there's this moment where there's like these two characters, and they're like, "Oh, this is my gal," and so the one robot says to the other robot, "This is my gal," even though they're both gals, and it's just cute. So
it's heartwarming. That scene, that panel alone was like, listen, when this is in trade, I think I'm gonna read it.
Yeah. So that was just all the stuff from this week, and some announcements. So now that was a lot. We're going to go over all of the new, I mean, I know we went over some new stuff that came out this week, but we're going to go over some new stuff in general. So
are we doing previews now, or are we doing our new series wrap up?
What would you prefer to do?
I think we should go into new series wrap up, because I feel like we can kind of blow through them real quick. I will try to be a limited person.
Right.
I have my stack here. I don't think that we'll talk about the 4 new series that we just discussed again. However, I will say, if you're not reading Robin, please read Robin, because it was probably my favorite thing of the whole month. So there that is. Mm-hmm. But other than that, I think we should just dive into what we have, what you have, because going over our list this morning, because we have a spreadsheet that we share. We were kind of like in like agreeance that A, I didn't read a whole lot this month, and I thought I read a whole lot more, but that B, it was kind of a poopy month. There was a lot of really lackluster books.
There really were. I mean, granted, like, I have my solid favorites.
He has her solid favorites.
If John is here, like, John knows exactly what my favorite is going to be, because I talk about it always. But I think that I'm trying to get all of there were just some that I was so highly anticipating, and then they just didn't do it for me. Mm-hmm. So what were some of the ones that you read that you really hated, that you really liked?
We'll just kind of run through. I know we had them ordered, but I think just running through it might be best, and we'll just go back and forth.
It's all made. Points don't matter, folks.
Points don't matter. So Spider-Man, Spider Shadow. First of all, y'all got me to read a Spider-Man comic, so congrats to you. This is a what-if story where we've seen it before, but I feel like it's more modernized, a little bit darker, where we see the symbiote latch onto Peter Parker and stay onto Peter Parker. So it's a lot darker take than the old symbiote stories that we're used to. This is written by Chip Zdarsky, and it proves that Chip Zdarsky continues to do really well when it comes to Marvel superheroes. I'd say if you're a Spider-Man fan, you'll really, really love this. If you're a casual fan like me, I think I'll like this better in trade, but I will not be picking up the rest of the issues.
Oh, very, very solid. I love what if stories a lot.
Mhm.
And so I think that because when I think about some of my favorite, they're also some of like the most hokey,
The
and
wackiest.
the wackiness of them, and like a lot of them do end up doing the thing where it's like the Watcher comes in at the end, like just things like that. So I'm curious to see, instead of just getting wackiness and thrown in there with one issue, because this is what you said, 3 or 4.
4 or 5, I think.
I want to say hello. So we've got Lost in Comics has joined us. Nick, I don't know if I said hi earlier. Let's see here. Josue, you asked if I got the Monsters hardcover. You're talking about the Barry Windsor Smith. I did get that. I will show off that stack a little bit later.
And then Sheena popped up in the chat.
Yep. Where Sheena, where is Travis? I think that there's another show going on right now, and Travis chose sides, apparently. I'm just kidding. He was here earlier. He said he was going to go over to that chat. So very, very cool. Yeah. Travis is live with Herm. So and then hello, Cantonese Comic Kid. How are you doing? Yeah.
What if stories?
What if stories? I love what if stories, and I like to see that we're getting a little bit more fleshed out instead of just like, here's some wackiness in one issue, deal with it, goodbye, and then just drop out. So I like to see that we get a little bit more fleshed out. So, there's a couple other. Do we want to go like publisher by publisher again?
We can. We might get lost in the shuffle somewhere in there. I'll pull them out because I know I have them sitting right here. So the Mighty Valkyries.
Oh, I just picked that one up. Oh my god.
Same brainwaves, buddy.
This one so much.
It was so bad. Makes me really sad. I really like the art in this book because it is the same artist as the Jessica Jones, Kelly Thompson run. I also like that it confirmed that Hela was gay because I never knew that Hela was gay, and it gives me a chance. So thank you.
My wife.
That
joke is 10 years old, and it's
how I feel. Don't care. It's how I feel. Feel like this book could have been better if it was a little bit more funnier, a little bit more modern, and if it wasn't done by Jason Aaron, because as we talked about last week, feels like Jason Aaron has had an iron grip on the Thor universe for the past 10 years, and he just needs to let go.
I agree. And I think that last week or whatever week it came out, I'd really appreciate if maybe Marguerite Bennett was on it, or maybe Kelly Thompson.
Mm-hmm.
So that would be interesting to see. So Jason Aaron, I know you watch this show.
Let go, buddy.
Oh, can you just go back to like doing Thor and shit like that? Maybe do Venom. Who knows?
Go back to didn't he do? He did The Goddamned, and he did Southern Bastards. Go back to doing some indie stuff, man. Let's see him do some indie stuff.
Indie stuff. Yeah.
Also from Marvel, I know this is a book that you hated, and I hate it. We all hated. I don't know if this counts because it's a one-shot, but Women of Marvel, #1. This was very, very awful. Did not like this at all. Women are more than just shopping trips and getting your nails done and not knowing what clothes to wear. The covers were gorgeous, though.
100% cover buys. I think that I even went back and ordered extra
cover buys at $5.99 a piece.
At $5.99 a piece, so I'm a dum-dum there. However, my books. However, the stories were trash. I did not enjoy the stories whatsoever, and that breaks my heart. But I think for me, what it does do is prove that we just need better representation. I think that if we're really going to flesh out some of these like Women of Marvel stories, we shouldn't just put them all in like a 40-page one shot where there's like 10 different stories all getting 2 and 3 pages of a story each. Like this should have been an actual, like, even if they did it like once a month, but to me that was a total fuck up there.
Total fuck up. Do you have anything else from Marvel? Because that's all I have from Marvel.
The other thing that I have from Marvel is going to be Way of X. I enjoyed this, but I truly, truly believe if you are not caught up on like what's going on in the Marvelverse, you could still possibly pop in and enjoy this because we do get some fun Nightcrawler action. But I think that this just wraps neatly a lot of things that have been happening. So I think that if you know a lot of what's going on, you're going to like Way of X. But if you're not into the Hickman X-verse, you may not like it.
You might get lost.
You might get a little bit lost, or you might. I think that lost is kind of it.
You might lose your way.
You might lose your way, or you might find your way.
I'm very proud of myself on that one, by the way, y'all.
That was a good one.
It was a good one. Hopping over. That was it for Marvel.
Mm-hmm.
Hopping over to the other side of the spectrum. We already talked about Robin #1. Please, this is my pitch. Please read Robin #1. But also speaking of Robin, Challenge of the Super Sons #1. This was fun. This was a really cute all ages title. If I'm being quite honest with you, though, I actually totally forget what happened in this first issue. Personally, I think it should have been one of the original graphic novels, and it would have been presented way better than being done in single issues.
That makes sense. So like one of the, I don't think that they're technically doing DC Inc. anymore. But if it was like one of the baby ones.
Mm-hmm. I just feel like it would have been a really solid read altogether, and that the target audience for it is not going to pick up single issues. Also, thank you. Your approval means everything.
Oh, I love it. Sheena, we love you so much. All right. And I did not read that one, Challenge of the Super Sons.
You did read Batman.
I did read Batman. And so Batman, it's the second son. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of taking over where we kind of Back to the Futuring with Back to the Future state. Because I feel like it's like backtracking. I don't know. I really don't. I don't know. My mind is so warped from reading all of Future State.
All of Future State.
I don't even know what part of the time. I don't know what timeline I'm in. I don't know what part of the timeline I'm in right now. But I do feel like Second Son, even though it's a Batman title, it's really not. It's good. I would rate it at least a solid 3.5. There's a lot going on though. So
there's a lot.
There is a lot. I think that if you're going to jump into Batman, this shouldn't be your first title. I put all my books away and forgot to grab this one. So like, let's pretend.
But I'm proud of you for putting all your books away, because I am so far behind on that. I literally just have piles and piles and piles. So if anybody wants to volunteer to come help me organize and put things away, maybe there'll be some free comics involved. I don't know.
Yeah. Right. Alrighty. What else came out for DC? Like I'm looking over my little list right here.
The only other book that came out for DC, and I unfortunately did not read it, and I don't think you did either, and that was Green Lantern.
Mm-hmm.
Which is a shame, because Joe pops up in that one apparently this month. So I feel like we both kind of missed out on that. So if you are reading Green Lanterns, let us know what you think about it in the comments below, and maybe we'll pick it up next month.
Mm-hmm. I feel like I can't remember if John said he was reading that one. So John, if you're liking the new Green Lantern, please let us know. Oh my goodness. So I love that there's so much love between so many people in our chat right now. So thank you all for being here so much. We love you. So we finished Marvel. We finished DC.
So we'll jump to Image.
Mm-hmm.
So first one that I have for Image is Home. This is a 4-issue miniseries. I did really enjoy this one. I feel like this one hits home, quite literally, because it is about a very real thing happening right now and has a lot to deal with all of the current immigration stuff that is going on, with some superhero stuff thrown into it. I definitely do think that this is one that you should be reading. However, personally, again, one of those types of stories where I feel like it's going to benefit more from a compiled trade than issue to issue. So that is definitely where I will be reading it. But I think that it should, at the very least, I feel like Home should be on your radar. So that way, when it does come to a compiled format, you can pick it up.
Mm-hmm. John says Green Lantern 1 wasn't a great first read, but I'm still hoping it gets better. I hear Far Sector's Joe will be joining it soon. I know that John and I are both fans of Far Sector. So, and Todd, Green Lantern was excellent. I love that Team Lantern Teen Lantern, isn't it? A nice from Bendis's Young Justice era. So a whole bunch of different opinions here about Green Lantern. Was it was it good? Maybe we should like try to. I can't remember if I picked it up. That's how like much stuff I pick up. Like I think that I grabbed it, but I can't remember. So
don't know.
We'll see.
What else do you have from Image?
You know, I put it on our list, but I didn't read it. And I know you didn't either. And that's Geiger. I just refused to pick. I just wanted to mention it because apparently it's getting a second printing. I feel like what Image has been doing recently, maybe tell me if you have a different thought on this, if you have a different perspective. But I feel like what Image has been doing, or at least Kat Salazar has been doing, is like, hey, we're coming out with this hot new series. It's going to blow things up. It's going to go nuclear, and it's called Geiger. And then they maybe don't do a big first print run, so then they can sound like they're popular by doing a whole bunch of second prints. And I feel like that's what Geiger did, because normally with Image #1s, I buy every single cover or every single first issue of Image comics. And because I've been burned so many times recently, I'm like, I'm not doing it. I'm not spending the dumb bitch money on this. And especially the writer,
Jeff Johns.
Jeff Johns. I'm not buying Jeff Johns. I'm not going to do it.
Nope.
And I'm really glad that I didn't, because I feel like, sorry, chat. If I'm wrong, please correct me. I don't really know anyone who really loved Geiger. I'm sorry if I'm like pissing people off by saying I didn't like Geiger, or I just didn't pick it up. I didn't feel like it was going to be worth it. But I feel like because Image has on purpose been doing low print runs for issue #1, they can be like, oh, issue #2 was so hot. It went so nuclear. It's going to second print. And I feel like I get that email from Kat Salazar from Image every week. Whatever issue 1 came out, the next week it's like, oh, it did so well. It went to second print.
Yeah. Can I be honest? Because I also get those emails. I honestly can't even tell you an Image title within the past couple months, probably since 2021 began, that has not gone to second printing. Home went to second printing. Stray Dogs, Noctara, you name it. A Radiant Black. Every single new Image title has gone to second printing. So I think it's a little bit of both. I don't think it is a low print run, because if you think about it, none of these are selling out at the distributor level before issue 1 comes out. Like when we think about a book we'll talk about later, Many Deaths of Layla Starr. When we think about what was another one that recently did it? There was another book that recently did it. I can't think of it. It's going to
with
I don't remember, but like for example, Witchblood and Layla Starr both sold out at the distributor later, like a week or two before their books even came out. Yet it's with all of these Image titles where it just so happens to be the week after, when some of the hype has died down, that they're like, oh well, there's a second printing. So I don't know if that's Image trying to drive the spec market, because they know that speculators are like sharks to water, where, oh, this book is getting hot, let me scoop up all the copies. So they know that the remaining #1 first prints that are on the shelf will sell. And then they put out the second print. So then all the specs will continue. And it's kind of like a vicious cycle. And I really do wonder if Image is very much aware of how speculators have gotten. Because again, I feel like these Image second prints have really only kicked off since the middle of the pandemic, which is right when comic speculation started to go through the roof.
Yep. And I think like part of me is like, should I be mad at Image for doing this? And I'm like, no, because I would much rather that, like coming from a comic shop perspective, I feel like comic shop owners would much rather sell out of all of their issues instead of buying a whole bunch of first issues and it falling flat. Because in all reality, like a first issue is almost always going to do pretty well. And then they need to make sure they'll typically order 50% or less of a second issue. So that's why, one, it's really important to pre-order your books and to start a pull list with your local comic book shop, because if you do read issue 1 and you want to continue reading it, you need to put it on your pull list. You need to pre-order it with your comic book shop. And we'll get to a little bit of that later, because we are going to be talking about July, things that are coming out in July that you can add to your pull list.
100%. So another title from Image Comics that came out, The Old Guard, Tales Through Time. I absolutely love this series. This series is on my pull list. I am a huge Old Guard fan. This is an anthology series featuring members of the Old Guard, and I'm sure we might be able to see some new characters from the Old Guard. Let's be honest, even if you have not read the Old Guard, you can still pick this up because it is an anthology. However, that being said, please read and watch The Old Guard, because it is probably one of my favorite comic book adaptation movies that I've ever seen, even if it does kind of have a bad soundtrack. But it does. It has the absolute worst soundtrack. Like, I want to talk to whoever picked the music for the movie because it was not good. But I love this series. It's really great. Please read The Old Guard. Please read Old Guard Tales Through Time. This is definitely already on my sub list as well.
100% really liked it. I think that in order to like these one-shots, you should at least watch the movie or read the first trade, whichever you decide to do. But do at least one of those. Let's see here. Is that it for Image?
I believe so, other than Helm Grey Castle, which we did talk about.
Yeah. We already talked about that one earlier. What
do you got?
Other one that I have on my list is Jules Verne's Lighthouse. It was all right. Didn't love it. Probably not going to pick up the second issue. So sorry, not sorry. Oh, and Silver Coin. We didn't talk about Silver Coin.
Silver Coin. I forgot about that. I didn't pull that one.
Well, you not got that one for a very good reason, because I mean, you didn't like it.
I really did not like Silver Coin. Silver Coin is another anthology series, but it's a horror-based anthology. I just think that for its first issue, it was not very, very good. It was done by Chip Zdarsky. However, I'm still standing by the fact that I don't think Chip Zdarsky should write horror. I don't think he's very good at writing horror, because if we look at Silver Coin and Stillwater, both books were not very good. However, Kelly Thompson is writing issue 2, and it seems like issue 2 has to deal with like some like 80s slasher type vibes, and that is my jam. So I might pick up issue 2. And again, because it's an anthology series, I feel like, you know, you can like issue 1 or not like issue 1 and like a different issue. However, again, we've seen anthology series and horror anthologies from Image before with Haha and with Ice Cream Man, and I feel like both of those are just far superior, especially when we look at like Haha, which is more recent. That first issue alone was like, okay, I need more. Whereas Silver Coin, I'm like, I could care less. Could care less.
And I think too, because with Silver Coin, I think what we're going to see is we're going to see the Silver Coin in issue 1 and the titular Silver Coin go from issue to issue, right? But to me, like, I don't even really like care for clowns, like not necessarily that they're scary or whatever, but I feel like knowing that Haha is in this like kind of shared universe, I guess, makes sense. But I can't see the shared universe yet with Silver Coin, even though spoiler alert, at the end we see like the hand coming up holding the silver coin, so who knows where that will go.
So that's everything from Image. Also, yes, you did not miss out. And Chris, if you really want, I will send you my first issue because I want nothing to do with it. So my gift to you.
Let me take a look here. Since that is all from Image, let's go ahead and go to what do you have there? Because you've got a stack.
I have a couple. So Black Mask, finally excited to see Black Mask publishing again. This is Alice in Leatherland. I know that we both really, really enjoyed this book. I really, really liked this. It feels like a really fun slice of life. Almost has like manga vibes to it because it is just a fun little casual story that you can enjoy. It's about a girl who finds out that her partner has been cheating on her. So she moves out to LA and decides to kind of strike out on her own, and ends up finding herself living in a house where her roommates are into bondage and other kinky stuff and are sex workers. And I just think that this is going to be a really fun book. Issue 1 is a little bit of a slow burn, but still is funny and quirky and cute enough to make me want more. So, this is definitely on my pull list now as well.
I need to this little comment here, this little dad joke. I appreciate it a lot.
It's a good one.
When attacked by clowns, go for the jugular.
Chris asked Goth Leather Daddy. Yes, I think there was a Goth Leather Daddy. There's also a Goth Leather Mommy as well. Mm-hmm. It's just it's more like a Twink Leather Daddy, says Josue. Mm-hmm. Yes, actually, yeah, no, you're right. Thank you for calling us out and for correcting us. Appreciate you. Also, when is Josue going to be on the show? We're calling you out, buddy. We need you on the show with us.
Yeah. If we see, I think we missed each other at the shop this Wednesday. I heard the shop this Wednesday was super crazy. It was super crazy when I went in there. I think it was crazy maybe if you were in there. But let's talk next time. Maybe I'll be in there a little bit later this week. So,
other books, some of these we can just really run down real quick because I know we didn't like them. Dark Horse, Kojukaru the Skinner. Almost stopped reading this halfway through. It was really bad. I don't know if there's more to this that I need backstory to, but either way, it was bad. It was not a good book. Another book that I know that you read that we both really fucking hated, but for some reason is spiking and the spec market is going crazy over this. You bought me Darkness from Behemoth Comics.
You promised me a good book.
I have one word, and that's yikes.
Yikes. Was said how many times? 14 times?
And I only read halfway through the book, and I counted 14 yikes. So, yikes. That's all I'm going to say.
This book was not necessarily that I wanted it to be fun. It didn't make any sense to me. If someone got this book and, like, totally understands it, there's something that I'm missing, please let me know.
You read, trying to remember a couple books that I know that you read. You read Jenny.
I put my books away like a good girl.
a good little comic reader.
Even though there's still a huge stack right here. Like I've got stacks on stacks on stacks right here. And so I'm still a messy bitch. So I can't
From Dark Horse, you read Jenny Zero, correct?
Loved it so much. There was a printing error where a page from the second issue ended up in the first one. So it technically came out this month, but I think that we're waiting for the real first printing to come out. So I really enjoyed it. I really hope that everyone picks it up because it was really, really enjoyable. Yeah, I think it's going to be a 4-issue run. So,
and then also Girls from the 14th Dimension from Aftershock, which
I hated this. And I'm so disappointed in Aftershock because I wanted this book to be good. And with Aftershock, if John is still in the chat, Shadow Doctor has been incredible. Read the in some of the other Aftershock books that were coming out, there was like a preview of Shadow Doctor, and I was still like, I don't know. Absolutely love Shadow Doctor. I ended up reading a previews of Girls of Dimension 13. And I'm like, okay, I'll still pick it up even though I didn't like the preview. Hated this. Sorry, once again, if anyone out there liked this one. I did not like it at all. Won't be picking up that. And I'm really surprised because I've been loving Aftershock. But I guess, if this is the only one the entire month of in the last couple months that I just haven't liked from Aftershock, then I'll call it a win, right?
Call it a win. The only other 2 books that I have are from Boom Studios, and I know that they are books that we very much loved and enjoyed. Before we talk about these ones, do you have any other books?
I probably do. Like I said, I don't have them here in front of me.
Any books worth talking about?
I will go ahead because I have it right here. IDW, this Godzilla, Monsters and Protectors. John, I feel like if you didn't pick this one up, I'm not sure if you did. I feel like Katie and or Charlie would really like this because it's like Godzilla meets kids. Like kids are talking about Godzilla. So I thought it was cute. I wanted it to be more like monster-y and it wasn't. So I feel like John, I think that Katie and or Charlie would like this one. Probably Charlie, but let me see here. Transformers, 25th, those are all from this week. Phantom on the Scan. I don't have that one right in front of me, so let's just pretend I have Phantom on the Scan. It was another Aftershock book that I really liked, but kind of weird. But I think that Aftershock does weird really well, especially with Zach Thompson writing a lot of stuff. So Phantom on the Scan, you should pick it up. Just pretend I have it right here in front of me.
Pretend she has it.
Also, Kanto in the City of Giants is like a 3-issue miniseries.
Mm-hmm.
Even if you haven't read the first one, I think people would still like it because it's cute. Hey, buddy. Sorry, got my cat right here. And the only other thing is Lock and Key Sandman, which I just didn't like. Duplicant is another book. Once again, Duplicant. I don't have it right here in front of me, but Duplicant by Second Sight was pretty good. Another 4-issue series.
Okay. So to wrap up our new series of the month, because I know that the one book is one that I really, really enjoyed. Another one is one that you really, really enjoyed. So I'm going to save that one for last because I know you want to talk about it, and she's going to talk for another 10 million years. And I'm just going to let her because I'm so happy for her. So the book that I really, really liked, and I finally got this gorgeous cover. So thank you to Kelly. I don't know if Kelly watches our show, but Kelly sent this to me. This is Magic the Gathering #1. I'm a huge Magic player. Spend too much money on cards and on comics. But Magic the Gathering comics have been really, really poopy and have never actually, I feel like, been good. They've always just been there. This is actually a solid fantasy story, and I feel like even if you don't play Magic, it's just a fun book. It's pretty. It's a pretty book, too. It's got really gorgeous art, a lot of really awesome characters, and these covers are gorgeous. Even if not Boom, but even if Diamond screwed it up.
And I think that this upcoming week, for Diamond, they're kind of like fixing their boo-boo, apparently.
Mm-hmm. They're slowly sending out other covers to shops. I do still think it's stupid that they are polybagged and you're doing a mystery pool. But, I mean, we take what we can get at this point.
Yeah. The book that was my absolute favorite this month, and I know I had been...
And has gone to 3 printings.
Gone to a 3rd printing of the first issue, and that's The Many Deaths. Ooh, that's definitely a shiny boy. Seriously, The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. I'm here to talk about it. Seriously, I love this book so much. Basically, it's a very much like Hindu Indian mythology inspired book about this character who is the personification of death. She ends up she's been obviously working in this like bureaucracy for years, and since the beginning of time she loses her job, and the reason why is because the person who's about to cure mortality, so who's basically going to cure death, is about to be born. So she gets laid off from her job. She ends up she finds out because she's losing her job, she's going to become immortal. So she ends up inhabiting the body of Layla Starr here. And spoiler alert, Layla Starr, when she gets put into the body of Layla Starr, who dies, ends up at the same hospital as this boy who is about to cure death. And so the hijinks ensue from there. And it's seriously, I've been screaming about this book. If y'all have heard me talk about this book and haven't added it to your pull list or didn't pick it up, I feel sorry for you because I warned you how good it was. I threatened you with a good time.
So Jen has literally been talking about this book nonstop since she read the preview or read the advanced solicit, I guess, a month ago, and it just makes me really happy because I know I've felt this way about certain books like Seven Secrets and things like that. But yeah, she loves this book a whole lot.
Mm-hmm. Groiper Girl XXX. If you absolutely had to pick, would you rather give up comics or makeup? I'd give up makeup.
Well, my name is That Comic Girl, not That Makeup Girl. So yeah. I think there it is.
Yeah, 100%. John, I did read The Many Deaths of Layla Starr. Yeah, I've heard of it.
She has heard of it.
Trying to pick out some. Bye. Did you hear Jen likes the mini deaths? Y'all, seriously.
That's just the joke now.
I loved this book. I loved it so much. The second printing, Chris Ward cover.
It's gorgeous.
Week. My shop there, Nick at the shop was like, oh, like, you wanted the second cover, the second print? And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, how many do you want? And I'm like, two? And I'm like, no. 3. I want 3. I want 3 of the second printing of the first issue because that's how much I loved it. So.
And now she's going to put herself down for the third printing.
Yeah, 100%. John would give up makeup too. Mm-hmm. I don't usually buy trades, but if I buy floppies, I will definitely will with Layla Starr. Yep.
It's very good.
And then, oh, hello. I want to say hello to Chamorro. Thank you so much for being here. Your videos are amazing. And thank you for that little like setup video that you gave us on Instagram. Absolutely loved it. Mwah, chef's kiss. Okay.
So I think that's everything for the month of April. Now we're going to get into the fun stuff. And I've actually been really excited about this segment of our show because we're going to experiment a little and we're going to try to do some stuff a little differently.
If you all have been here since the beginning of the show, this is why we were a little bit late, is because we were, I'm like, okay, let's hop on like an hour before the show and just see if we can get this right. So please stick with us as we go through. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to put up a little banner here.
I really hope that I don't mess this up because listen, y'all, Jen has kind of put me in full control here. I'm just a little nervous about it, but I think we're going to do okay. So if you are a new subscriber, new viewer to our show, every month at the end of the month, we wrap up obviously all of the new issues that came out, but then we like to go through, or I guess I like to go through previews like a psychopath and look at all of the new series that are coming out and all of the new things that we should discuss because as you know, with comics, you should typically be pre-ordering stuff from your shop, or at least trying to let your shop know about 2 months in advance new stuff that you want coming out. So currently we are talking about things that are coming out in July. I believe, I don't know the exact date, but you definitely have until the end of the month.
I think it's May 18th that you
May 18th.
I think that it's May 18th. I could be wrong, but it's sometime in May. So like give yourself 2 weeks from now to pre-order these with your shop, however you do it. Whether you I use Comics Hub is the app that I've been using. You've got spreadsheets.
I make spreadsheets.
And
I'm
like,
psycho.
Diamond order code.
Because here's the thing, as somebody who worked in a comic shop, I know how much I order, okay? I have all of my subs, but then in terms of special orders for either new number ones or multiple covers or you name it, I usually have 30 to 40 plus things that I'm ordering additionally on top of my regular pool list. So I try to make things as easy as possible for my shop. So that way they cannot mess up things. Listen, I have an ulterior motive here. It's to make sure that I get everything that I actually want. So we're here.
I still end up missing out on things, but so we're going to go ahead. We're going to switch up our view. I'm about to add this to the stream, and it's the first one.
Hope it works.
Yep, if it works. So hold on to your butts. Hold on to your butt wallets here.
Just flash it. Yay, it works. Yay.
So, we're trying something new. We're trying to
give you guys some visualizations because I feel like when we talk about series, it's a lot harder to get as excited without a visual representation, because I know that a lot of the times when I am looking at stuff in previews, I know that I would be less inclined to buy it if I didn't see the cover. So why not give you guys the full experience?
So don't forget to hit that like and subscribe button if you like what we're doing. Because we're gonna keep doing it whether you like it or not. You can give thumbs down, and I'll do it even fucking harder. I'll be like, someone didn't like our stream. Well, fuck you. We're doing it. Sorry, I just got very aggressive there. But so first on our list is Superman, Son of Kal-El.
Listen, it's Tom Taylor. That's all I gotta say. It's Tom Taylor on a Superman book. Well, Superboy book? I mean, I know the title is Superman, but it is Jonathan Kent taking over the title, and I'm really excited. I'm not a big Superman fan. If I'm being quite honest, the only Superman book that I really liked was Peter Tomasi's run on Rebirth, that first arc, which ironically enough had Jonathan Kent. However, Tom Taylor just, I feel like, understands superheroes and understands that superheroes are more than just crashing and bashing. It's about the heart and the emotions behind it, and that to me is what Superman is all about. So I personally will be picking up this first issue. I'm really excited. I also love the fact that this is an homage to a famous Superman cover. I think that that's really rad.
Sorry, just writing a comment here, because Oregon says, wow, that got dark fast. And I wake up and choose violence every single day.
Every day.
So I honestly probably wouldn't have been picking up Superman either, but I have recently become, thanks to your suggestion, have become a Tom
Taylor stan.
So 100%, I actually, I've got a little stack here that I'll show off and talk a little bit more about that a little bit later. So the next one on our list is, I'm really kind of excited to see this, but Grant Morrison is coming back to do The Authority. So I feel like as much as I've been loving Tom Taylor, I'm a really big fan of Grant Morrison. I know that you're not like a huge Grant Morrison.
I feel like they're a little wordy. I feel like they are a walking thesaurus and use big words to hide lack of plot, but that is my personal opinion. Everybody, I mean, you don't like Tom King as much. That's okay. We're allowed to like people and we're allowed to dislike people. However, Michael Janin, I can never pronounce his name, Michael or Michael Janin. Either way, this is the man who's known for drawing beefy as fuck Bruce Wayne. He is now drawing beefy as fuck Midnighter. I'm telling y'all right now, listen to me right now. This is going to be the thirstiest book y'all have ever seen. And if I'm not picking this book up for the plot, I'm at least picking this book up for the art. Like, let's be honest. That's why I'm picking up the book.
Yeah. Give me some himbos. Oh, you know what? I do want to quickly shout out. I know we're talking about like July shits that's coming out months from now. But I do have to talk about this book that I just got from Kickstarter, and it's called Beef Bros. And it's about these two delightful himbos who work out all the time and eat a ton of pancakes, and they fight injustice. And it's so good. It's so good.
We're here for beef. This is definitely a beefcake book.
It definitely is a beefcake book in the most delightful of ways. So since we're talking about beefy Batman, dude, I'm here to talk about Beef Bros.
Super excited. So any other thoughts on Superman and the Authority?
Basically that I'm really excited to see Grant Morrison return to superheroes.
They just recently wrapped up on Green Lantern, which I'm actually surprised you're not reading, because I feel like that is something so weirdly cosmic and mystical and just seems really deep, and I feel like that would be the perfect book for you. So that's your homework now, is to read the Grant Morrison Green Lantern.
It is. So I'll definitely have to pick that up. Don't know if it's gonna like tie anything with the super. It'd be kind of curious if it would. But I'm really interested to see more of Grant Morrison doing superheroes, because I think when he gets into the when they get into the superhero mythology, that I really love how cosmic and weird and mind fuckeried that it gets. So really excited to see them on this book.
Yep. Super exciting. We are getting a new Static Shock story. So Milestone is coming back. DC was making a big deal of bringing Milestone back into their comics lore and universe. So we're seeing a lot of black titles lately, and I'm really excited about that. This is Static Shock, which I know is a huge fan favorite to a lot of people, and is being written by Vita Ayala, who I know that we are a big fan of, and I know that they are a huge fan of the character because they are always talking about Static on Twitter. And it just makes me happy when people get books like this, because you can tell that it's like, this is a book that they've always wanted to write. So also, yes, we're here to get you excited for Superman titties.
Hold on to your, like we said, hold on to your butt wallets.
But Static Shock, I feel like this is just going to be a really fun book. The art style seems really, really great, because I believe that who's doing the cover is also doing the interior. So love.
Crisscross and Nicholas Draper Ivy.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So super excited for that. Also from Milestone, we are getting Icon. Oh, don't know why that one's smaller, but okay, we'll rock with it. Icon and Rocket. I personally don't have much experience with these characters. I have some experience with Rocket because I believe that she was on, I believe she showed up in Young Justice. So that is about my experience there. But again, it's seeing more representation come from DC Comics and seeing all of these voices come through. And I feel like ever since Infinite Frontier started, last month, these stories we're consistently getting, and it makes me really, really excited.
Yeah, I really hope that because I think the thing with Milestone was that they were telling stories that other places weren't, right? And they were also telling stories that were very, very unique to Black American culture. And I think that they were doing things that, like I think in a couple of issues, or in maybe one issue particular, that DC didn't want to print. They were talking about condoms, and it's like that's where
that's where you draw the line, is condoms.
Yeah. And so I think that, okay, like I'll give it to you. Maybe 20 years ago, that wasn't the story that they wanted to tell. But I think we're ready for those stories. I've been ready for those stories, and I will be picking every single one of these is going to be added to my list. So once again, this is why we talk about these books, so you can add them to your pull list, whether you want to write them down, whether you go to Preview's website. Definitely pick these up.
For sure. Next we have The Conjuring, The Lover. So this is DC Horror Presents The Conjuring, The Lover. So this is a movie tie-in. However, I got feelings about this because they're calling this DC Horror. However, I thought we already had DC Horror because I thought we had the imprint Hill House Comics. However, Hill House Comics came and it went. We had Basket Full of Heads. We had the Low Woods. We had The Plunge. We had a couple of different stories. And then we didn't hear anything from DC Horror, like the Hill House Comics imprint, forever. And then last month, we got a new story coming from James Tynion. I can't think of the name of it, but it is another horror story. And they were like, okay, it's a new horror imprint called DC Horror. And I'm like, well, I thought you already had a horror imprint. So is this an imprint of an imprint? I love what DC's doing with these imprints because we've got Black Label, and I actually really enjoy Black Label. I was a little wary about Black Label, but I'm really enjoying what we're seeing with it. Was really enjoying Hill House. Was really enjoying, we could even break it down to DC Inc. and DC Zoom, which no longer exists anymore. DC Comics needs to figure out what they're doing with these imprints and stick with it, because otherwise it's going to get to be very, very confusing.
Yes. And I think that the thing about Hill House was that Joe Hill was kind of like over them, even if they weren't writing like all of them, but maybe were kind of like had their hand on a lot of them. I do also feel like a lot of the Hill House stories that were coming out, I think that there were The Plunge. I think I got the first couple. So that's the only one that I'm kind of remotely familiar with. But I feel like because the pandemic, like literally they started coming out like January, February. And then the pandemic happened, Diamond shut everything down, and then DC was like pulled the rug out from Diamond and was just like, we're gonna leave. So I think that part of maybe where like Hill House wasn't as popular, or maybe they didn't stick with that imprint, was because of those issues. That's my guess. Maybe it's an educated guess, I don't know, but I guess my hope for these books, like if they're going to do a horror imprint, is that time it right so that the trade comes out before October. Like let the trade come out in August or September, give us time to like get used to it, so we can be like, oh, you want a Halloween horror recommendation? Here you go. It's a new book. So that would be my only thing, is that if you're going to do a horror imprint, and because this one says it's one of 5, so this one should be published, a trade, hopefully published right before Halloween. Bye. Sheena, really appreciate you being here. Love you so much, girl. One day we're going to have you on here.
So that's The Conjuring, The Lover. Also from DC. It feels like there's a lot of stuff coming from DC. Oh boy, did not want this one to pop up. Knew it was coming. Okay, here we go. Got a lot of feelings about this one. All right. This is a Suicide Squad. Get the Joker. I saw this book, saw it was a Brian Azzarello book under Black Label, thought nothing more of it, and was like, okay, don't care. Don't like Joker. Don't have to read it. It's Brian Azzarello. And then I realized that this was a literal dream of mine. This is something I've been wanting to happen since I got into DC Comics. And that is putting Jason Todd with the Suicide Squad. So this is supposed to be like a what if, I guess, alternate story where Jason Todd is a part of the Suicide Squad, and now he has to help Amanda Waller and the rest of the squad track down the Joker. Sounds really great. Sounds awesome. Sounds like a perfect premise. Brian Azzarello, as we all know, is going to make it the edgiest, most terrible, drawn out thing possible. And it just scares me because Jason Todd, I feel like, is one of those quirky, fun characters where I feel like people want to make him uber serious.
Yeah.
But then we also have to remember when he first came out, there were literal lines of dialogue written like, holy geez, I've been bamboozled. Like, nobody talks like that. Jason Todd talks like that. So I really just want a fun book, but it's not going to happen. We've also got artwork by Alex Maleev, who I'm not a big fan about.
Yeah, I like that. That would be the only reason why I would want this book is because of Maleev. But I'm more familiar with them like only doing work with Brian Michael Bendis. So it's like, is it the story with Brian Michael Bendis that I love, or is it their artwork? I mean, granted, I think that like there's a little bit of both there. But I do enjoy Maleev's artwork, so I'd pick it up for that.
Hear me out. There's one thing that could redeem this story, and I just thought about this just now, and I'm actually pretty proud of it. You want to redeem this story for me, Mr. Azzarello. Give me Jason Todd Wang. You gave me Bruce Wayne Wang. You gave me Bata Wang. Give me Red Hood Wang. I don't know. If you, hear me out, if you give me naked Jason Todd, I may be willing to forgive, but I won't forget.
I'm putting this on my pre-order list right now. Just, that's the spec. That's the
spec.
Will there be Wang in it?
I mean, this is not the first time Azzarello has returned to a Black Label book because he did that awful Birds of Prey book. So very nervous. It could go one of two ways.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So moving on from that one.
Moving on. Yeah.
Batman Secret Files Huntress. This is a one-shot. First of all, this is something I feel like we have not talked about on this channel, and it's something that I have been thinking about. I really, really love the Huntress redesign that we've gotten since Mariko Tamaki took over Detective Comics. I think it's absolutely just gorgeous because, I don't know, I just really like the redesign, and I feel like it's something that is so subtly slipped under the radar that nobody's talking about is her redesign. So I'm really glad to see her coming more into the spotlight because Huntress is really one of those very interesting characters. So I'm excited to see her getting a reboot. From my not a reboot, a one shot. So from my understanding, something happens where she gets superpowers temporarily in this book, and so she has to go off and fight crime and fight against the Batman. And like, let's be honest. Listen, I'm going to say something controversial. Huntress could already take down Batman without superpowers. With superpowers, he don't stand a chance. So I'm definitely going to be picking this book up.
For sure. It makes me sad that you said that it's a one-shot because I feel like Bertinelli just deserves a lot more than a one-shot.
I feel like she has been appearing more in the Detective Comics run right now with Mariko Tamaki. I can never pronounce her name right. Why? So I feel like if you want your Huntress fix, that's where you're going to get it.
Yeah, for sure. I'm excited for this. Here's the thing is I don't know too much about Blue and Gold or Booster Gold, Blue Beetle. I really don't know too much. But I think that they are such beloved characters, and I think that this is just going to be so much fun.
I have been waiting for this book all my life, and I know that there are people older than me.
Phil Collins.
I have been waiting for this book all my life. I know that there are people way older than me that have been reading comics way older than me and have probably been waiting for a series like this way longer than I have. But I feel like a Booster Gold Blue Beetle team up should have happened 20 years ago. Like, I'm sorry, these are the best bros in comics. I am hoping that this book is just over the top, funny and silly and douchey, but like in a cute douchey way because like it's Booster Gold. Booster Gold is a douchebag, but we love him.
I think that if they go the way of Cable, where like Cable's become this like fuck boy in the Marvel universe, like
Make Booster Gold a fuck boy.
yes, 100% Booster Gold as a fuck boy, please and thank you. Maybe more Booster Gold Wang.
Booster Gold Bang. But considering what we've seen with recent books like Nightwing, Robin, Teen Titans Academy, this just feels like a fun stylistic book, and this is what I want from DC Comics. Like, just please give me more of this. Like, I want this 100%. So really excited. This is probably like the book from DC Comics that I'm most excited for. Like, let's be honest, like, it's great. Yeah. I love it. Justice League Infinity. This is kind of cute. I kind of like this. It's not inspired, but it directly connects with the Justice League Unlimited cartoon, which I grew up with. I'm pretty sure a majority of us grew up with and still continue to watch. Okay, maybe not Jen, because Jen lived under a rock. But how do you call yourself a comic fan and not? You hurt me.
No gatekeeping.
No gatekeeping in comics. That being said, you should watch Justice League Unlimited because it's really cute and really funny. And half of the episodes were written by Gail Simone.
I should read it. I should watch
it. There it is. Yeah. And there it is. I know how to get Jen, guys. This just seems like it could be really cute. I feel like if you're a fan of the animated series, this is going to be a no-brainer for you to pick up. Like, it's just going to be a lot of fun. That's all I have to say on that one. And then
Shazam.
Shazam is the last one we have from DC Comics. So this is supposed to tie in directly with Teen Titans Academy. And it's not written by Jeff Johns. So we've already got a plus size on it. Like, I call it like I see it. It's not written by Jeff Johns. So
I like that it's a 4-issue miniseries, because I think if it was an overwhelming Shazam like maxi series or anything, I wouldn't give it any mind. But considering that it is only 4 issues, that's a lot more palatable to me.
Mm-hmm. So that is it for DC Comics.
That was a lot.
There was a lot. Now, I am a little biased on DC. So
it's going to be like 3. Yeah, there's literally 3 Marvel titles on this list.
To be fair, there was only 2 titles from Marvel I did not include because they looked boring as hell, and the rest were annuals.
They're probably like my 2 favorite stories too.
No, because one of them's Star Wars, and it has to deal with bounty hunters, and I know you're not going to pick that up.
No.
I got you, girl. So, jumping over to Marvel, we have a new Spider-Man mini-series, possibly, called Sinister War. So it has to deal with Doc Ock coming back and the Sinister Six. I'm not a Spider-Man fan, but some people are.
Is this one going to be a mini-series?
I believe it is only 4 issues.
Okay.
It is only 4 issues. It's Dr. Octopus is back and the Sinister War has begun. But I guess Doc Ock has a new Sinister Six. So for all you speculators out there, maybe there's some first appearances. Just saying.
Correct me if I'm wrong. If you know, or if anyone in the chat knows, was Nick Spencer the one that was doing Nonstop Spider-Man? Because I hated Nonstop Spider-Man. So
I believe Nick Spencer is actually doing the current run of Spider-Man, or at least was doing the current run of Spider-Man. So Josue is down in the comments being, our good hype man, that it should tie into Nick Spencer's run. So I guess if you're reading the Spider-Man run, pick up Spider-Man. Sinister War.
Next one on our list is Aliens, right? Aliens Aftermath.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel like, because I know that you haven't been really liking the new Alien series, like how do you feel like this one will tie into it?
I don't think that this is going to tie into the mainline title. From what I understand from solicitations, this is because I believe that it is the 35th anniversary of the Aliens movie. So I really can't gauge if this is a one-shot, a mini-series, or an ongoing series. But I feel like this ties more so directly into the movies. Mm-hmm. Whereas the current run that is very generic and bland and makes us side with Layla and Yutani is like its own new thing just in the Alien universe. So I might
Yeah.
pick up the first issue. However, I have been burned once before. So.
Womp womp.
Womp womp.
I feel like I will like just based on what I was reading from this is I feel like from the previews little blurb is I do feel like I'm going to like this Aliens much better because I feel like it is going to tie more into the universe and the movies that we're used to.
I think so. I can agree with that. I agree with that comment. Next book I think is actually really cool, and I had to do a double take on it. Amazing Fantasy. This just like look at this cover, guys. Can we just look at this cover? So this book is being done by Kara Andrews, both with art and with writing, and it is just supposed to be a bunch of what if universes coming together, I guess, to do like a battle royale. I don't know. We've got Thor / Captain America on a giant flying tiger. I think I'm really excited for this book.
Like, and especially this cover is so Frank Frazetta inspired. I love it so much. I'm going to need to come out with like a heavy metal soundtrack that I'm listening to while I read all of these.
Is this Marvel's version of death metal, but cooler?
Ooh, I hope so, because to me, like, you have someone like Greg Capullo doing DC, whatever the hell death metal ended up doing, who apparently he's a fan of metal music, but it just, I don't know. I enjoy a lot of metal music, and I did not enjoy death metal. I thought I was going to really like it, and I did not.
But Amazing Fantasy, I feel like this is going to be a book that is going to slip under a lot of people's radars. So I think you guys should definitely put this on your radar. Maybe pick up the first issue. I have a gut feeling it's going to be a lot of fun. I hope it's a lot of fun.
First appearances, and I could ultimately see some of this stuff ending up in the Marvel universe, the Disney Marvel universe. So,
ooh. Yeah,
that's the speculator in me.
That's the speculator in us. We have two-ish books for Marvel. Next we have Moon Knight. So there's a new Moon Knight show coming. So of course we got to hype y'all up with a new Moon Knight series. Listen, I love Moon Knight. I think he's precious baby. That being said, I've only ever really, really read the Jeff Lemire run, which people say is the weirdest Moon Knight, and that's okay. That's why I love him. So
I tried going back several times and reading like OG Moon Knight, and some of it's hard. Like a lot of it's really, really rough. And maybe it's because I read Lemire's before reading some of that other stuff. So highly recommend that run.
So I personally will be picking up Moon Knight. I'm hoping that it's kind of a nice blend between the Lemire run and between what we know Moon Knight as, which, let's be honest, he's Marvel's version of Batman. Like, that's how I always grew up knowing what Moon Knight was he was the Marvel equivalent of Batman. But Daredevil is Marvel's Batman, so then what is Moon Knight? You can't have two Batmans.
You can't have two. There can be only one.
Can only be one. But I'll pick it up. So I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful that this is as good as the Jeff Lemire run. However, I think older fans of Moon Knight might enjoy this more than, say, like me and you that just read maybe Jeff Lemire and really, really enjoyed that version.
I feel like a lot of times, at least now, whenever there are runs like this that coincide with a movie or show release, I feel like sometimes it's not very good. So I'm honestly going to
like it's rushed.
Like it's rushed, yeah. That's probably the best way to describe it.
But that being said, you loved MODOK, and I feel like that MODOK book might have came out in line with the show.
Agreed. I think sometimes that's just my perspective of it, though, because take Game of Thrones, for example. So Game of Thrones does have a comic book, and I love the Game of Thrones universe. I love the books. I loved 90% of the show, but I think that I never read the comics because it's just, once I get saturated with like it being in so many formats, I think it becomes overwhelming, and it's like a reboot of a reboot, or even like a photocopy of a photocopy, where sometimes it just doesn't land for me.
Understandable. And then the last book from Marvel, and the chat's going to have to help me out on this because I'm still a little unclear and fuzzy. We are getting an X-Men #1. So a couple weeks ago, there was a giant poll of who should join the X-Men. And my girl Polaris won, even though some people are upset because she's also in X Factor. It was totally rigged. They were going to put her in it either way. But I like Polaris. She a cutie patootie. We should hang out. X-Men, I guess, is getting like a soft, not reboot, but relaunch. So we're starting off from number 1. Jerry Dugan is taking over, and that is who is writing Marauders right now. So if you're a fan of Marauders, maybe try picking up X-Men. I know I will. I think I might enjoy that better because Marauders is my favorite out of all of the X titles right now. And it's got Laura Kinney. So y'all got me. I'm in a box.
I really hope that this is the X-Men title that like finally gets you into X-Men.
I mean, I like X-Men. I just don't like Dawn of X. It's too convoluted.
I think honestly what it is that I think that the way that the Dawn of X titles were supposed to be written is that there is a different title for everyone. Not everyone is going to like Hellions, Marauders, Excalibur, X Factor, any of those. And what the Dawn of X trades ended up doing was giving you issue 1 of each of those titles. Mm-hmm. So instead of giving you like all of the run going into all of X-Men or all of Excalibur or all of Marauders, you just the trade of Dawn of X, you just get the 1. So I think it's helpful if you just want to read the first issue, but I think when it comes to like getting those series, it doesn't do it right. And I don't think that all of that was meant for everyone to read. So did you end up House of X, Powers of X?
Nope.
That is also why. Read House of X, Powers of X.
Nope, did not read it. Thought about it. Saw how dense it was.
Read House of X, Powers of X, and then read anything from Dawn of X.
Okie dokie. I've got homework.
Yeah.
So that is everything from the big 2. Now let's get into the good stuff. Let's talk about indies. And what a way to start off with some dumb bitch energy up in the show. So Image Comics has a new series coming from our favorite person on the show. We're talking about Sweet Paprika, written and illustrated by Mirka Andolfo.
Nope. Can you put a little GIF up of Captain America saying, "No, I don't think I will."
But you will, because hear me out. We have an Art Germ cover, which is gorgeous. That being said, her boobs are very low. I don't understand why her boobs are so, not to boob shame on anybody, but her boobies are drawn a little low.
Oh, just
a little weird. And it's kind of weird. It's kind of glaring. However, we do get a very gorgeous, like, listen, that Peach Momoko cover. Jen, you're at least going to buy one of these 3, and then it's going to be sitting there, and you're gonna read it. So to kind of give you guys an idea, because I feel like every Mirka Andolfo story that she writes and illustrates is kind of the same. She is a successful businesswoman, a New Yorker, a job and career, a woman that's trying to have it all. And she meets a guy, and I guess they have sex. And she's a demon. So weird kinky stuff that Mirka Andolfo does.
I feel like I've heard this story. And
you have. It's called Unnatural, and it's called Unsacred, which are both written and illustrated by Mirka Andolfo. Yeah. It's the same rinse repeat. And hear me out. These covers are maybe not that one. I mean, it's okay, but even with the weird boobies, these covers are gorgeous, and I will be picking up both. So in July, sit down, have some popcorn, and wait for me and Jen to rip apart Sweet Paprika, because what if this is the book that we really, really like? What if this is the book we enjoy?
I don't think I will.
All right, Rogers.
Sorry, I'm trying so hard. I've been cautiously optimistic before, but seriously, like every Mirka Andolfo title, I'm just.
Can it be as bad as Deep Beyond?
No. But could it also be as bad as Mercy? No. Could it also be as bad as Unnatural? No. And I'm done.
She's tired, y'all.
tired of working.
Just do what Banshee Queen is doing. Just buy them for the covers only, which is what we'll probably end up doing.
Is that my OnlyFans?
It's your covers OnlyFans. Covers only.
Only variants.
Only variants. So a good book with maybe a good book, but with substance in it is Ordinary Gods. This one seems very, very interesting. It's being done by Kyle Higgins, who is currently doing Radiant Black. And it has to deal with 5 gods from a realm beyond ours. And they are sent to a planet and are in a prison. But it's like different people from different time periods. So like we've got Queen Elizabeth, we've got like a samurai, we've got, what is that, Teddy Roosevelt? Is that Teddy Roosevelt? I don't know. This seems like it could be really good. Previews was describing like if you like Old Guard, which we've established I really like the Old Guard, that I will like Ordinary Gods. So hopefully they are right. I don't know. This seems like it could be really, really interesting. And I love these types of stories that grab different people from history and kind of like play a what if. Let's have them meet and do stuff. Oh, it's Stalin? Oh, that just makes things sense. That makes more sense. That makes it even more interesting.
I think that just kind of based on the premise and the little blurb and previews, it reminds me, maybe it's the title, but it reminds me of American Gods, where like the premise of American Gods is that people who worship their gods in their country, when they came over to America, the gods came over here and are either dying out, and then there's these new American gods where there's like technology and like things like that. So maybe it's like that, but in space, because then you go to the space station. So that's 100% I will be picking this up.
I think it's going to be I hope it's a good one. I think it's going to at the very least be interesting. And break our minds a little bit. This next one I know is one that we have discussed, and I think that we have some feelings about. And that is
Mother of Madness. I'm cautiously optimistic and, dare I say, excited about this one. I'm not a huge fan of celebrities doing titles.
For those of you that don't know, kind of like how Keanu Reeves is doing air quotes Berserker, Emilia Clarke from Game of Thrones is doing this title from Image Comics with Marguerite Bennett attached to it. So I'm looking at it as this is a book by Marguerite Bennett, and I really like Marguerite Bennett. And I haven't seen her do an indie title in a while. So
is this the only cover? Did it get variant covers? Because I feel like I saw another one.
It did get variants, but they weren't solicited yet officially, so I wasn't able to pull them. But this is basically supposed to be a badass single mom who's an assassin and is supposed to be kind of mouthy, and it just seems like it's going to be a lot of fun.
There was a tiny, I think that when it got announced, and if you got the Kat Salazar email, for anyone, whenever I refer to Kat Salazar is Image's marketing hype woman. And like we said, every time there's like, oh, this book went to second printing, and oh, there's this new book that was announced. Kat Salazar is the person who like sends out the emails. So I feel like, I don't know. I feel like there's a lot of hype in this, and there was like a little preview of this book, I believe, in that email, and 100% the main character looks like Emilia Clarke. So I feel like in the same way that Keanu Reeves had himself drawn in Berserker, Emilia Clarke had herself drawn into...
This is just a TV... Somebody pointed out to me when this was announced that this felt like a TV pitch or a movie pitch to see how people would react to it, because it's a lot cheaper than making a whole ass movie. And then if, it gets the hype, then a studio is going to magically pick it up, even though we know it's been talked about, probably for years now at this point. This is literally the female equivalent of Berserker, except this seems a lot more at least to me, seems a lot more interesting than Berserker.
Okay, so how much do you want to bet that there's going to be some bloody tit?
I would say 0. I would say a 0%.
0%? Okay, I'm saying
that?
at least 5% chance.
5% chance?
5% chance there's going to be some blood on tits.
Blood on tits. Now, wait a minute. That just opens it up to a lot of things. I mean, she could be out fighting crime and her shirt gets a little bloody. Do we count that?
Yes.
Well,
but that's still part of the 5%. That's still part of the 5%.
Also, yes, this cover does remind me of Pussy Riot. This book has such punk vibes to it. Like punk girl gang bikini kill vibes. And that is the part that is like dragging me in. And I'm like, I'm really interested. But then I also know that you're trying to sell me a movie pitch. So again, a little hesitant, but also cautiously excited.
Yeah.
The last title from Image, we have, we have this title from Image. I forgot to put this in our docs. So Skybound, which is a part of Image, is doing a bunch of issues. Like, it's really weird because there's like 4 issues coming out in the span of a month. So I guess they're doing it on a weekly basis, but it's basically supposed to be a bunch of mini stories for other famous Image and Skybound titles. So we are seeing Ultra Mega.
This is the crossover that we wanted.
You think this is the crossover? So we're seeing Ultra Mega show up. We are seeing Clementine, which if you played the Walking Dead Telltale, this is I feel like spec book coming in here. This is the first time we're seeing Clementine in a comic book. So I feel like that alone is going to make it a hot buy. I know that Assassination, which is one of my favorite books Image has ever published, is getting a story in one of these. So I will pick it up just to see more Assassination. What if we see, hear me out, because Skybound partially did it. What if we get Saga? What if we get a little bit of Saga?
I would love to see a Saga crossover just to get something, because now it's been going on 3 years since we were promised 1 year of a Saga hiatus. 1 year of a Saga hiatus.
And we're on 3.
So that Fiona Staples could go and be a mom 100%, like, go do your thing, girl. But we are all your children at this point. And we've been abandoned.
I'm just like,
it's super important to be a mom. Totally get it. But I really do miss Saga a lot. I would love to see a Saga crossover in this.
Well, I don't even know. Is this a crossover, or is this just almost like mini anthology stories? Because that's what I was under the impression. I mean, it very well could be a crossover, and that would be awesome. But I was under the impression that these were like mini stories for like almost like a celebration, because I think it is Skybound's like 10th anniversary or something along those lines. Yeah. So, and again, like I said,
I could see a Saga, but like, especially, going on 3 years, would love to see it. I'm not going to count on it though.
What if it is?
I'll still be buying multiple. I'll be buying all the covers. So
we'll buy all of them. And then the real last thing from Image is Siphon #1. This is by Patrick Meany and Mohsen Ashraf, Jeff Edwards, and John Khalees. Sorry, I can't pronounce names. I'm going to apologize ahead of time. This feels like another like psychological thriller mystery type book. So personally, I'm not a big fan of that type of book, but it's the idea that, they're able to it's an EMT that's able to ease the misery of those around them. And I feel like that is almost like a very real superpower that we could see possibly. I don't know. I just think it's kind of neat. I don't know if I will be picking this one up. I might be reading like an advanced preview and we'll go from there. But again, we try to give a little bit of something for everybody.
Yeah, I definitely think, it's an Image #1. Even though it's like Top Cow, Skybound, whatever it is, I'll still give it a try just to see. I'll let the stack decide whether I pick up more.
Boom Studios has a couple of really, really cool things coming out in July. This one in particular, I'm very, very excited about. This is Dark Blood #1, and I wanted to showcase both covers because I think they are this reminds me of Powerpuff Girls. I think it's cool.
They're so different looking.
They're so different.
2 completely different books. Immediately when I saw this, I immediately thought of Mahershala Ali from Lovecraft Country when I saw this cover. And
yes,
I need that as a book. I also need, I haven't read the book, and I just need that book as a movie or show with Mahershala Ali. Please and thank you. So
to give you guys kind of a rundown, because Dark Blood, I feel like, has a really cool premise, and I feel like this is going to be one of those books that is also overlooked. It's about somebody who is able to change the course of history. So it has to deal with Alabama, 1955. An ordinary black man, a decorated World War II veteran, provides for his wife and daughter, and I guess he goes through time and kind of manipulates it. So it feels a lot like Lovecraft Country, with maybe a little bit of Philadelphia mixed with a little bit of Bitterroot. You know, it's this black representation and these black voices going into black history and that what if scenario, if you will. Yeah. And the two different covers I love. Like, this cover is just so interesting to me. Yeah, I am really excited for this series. And again, I feel like it's going to be a series that gets really overlooked. And Boom has been killing it lately, like with their new series. So definitely don't sleep on this one.
Every single one of their issue number, or at least most of their issue number ones, let me rephrase that. So I loved Layla Starr, like issue number 1 has gone to 3 printings. Once in Future, Something is Killing the Children. I think all of these underrated Boom titles end up booming. So, you know, if I can appeal to the speculators at all to pick up these books, let's do it.
Let's do it. This one I snuck in here just for Jen. If I can pull it up, where did it go? There it is.
Dune, Blood of the Sardaukar. The Sardaukar are basically the Emperor's like personal guard and personal army in the world of Dune. They're very highly trained, and if Dan or Sid were in the chat right now, they could give me the name of the other group, but I think this is really interesting. I also, because I've been liking Dune House Atreides quite a bit, I am excited for this.
Is this supposed to be Dave Bautista's character?
That I'm not sure of. I don't think.
Because I don't know Dune, and I only know that of Dune, so I tried. A for effort for my Dune knowledge here. Next we have is Momo. Or Mamo. I don't know.
Mamo.
I don't have it featured because it hasn't officially been released yet, but it is going to get a really great Trungles variant, and I absolutely love Trungles as an artist. This feels like a Little Witch Academia, Last Witch sort of vibe, kind of Miyazaki inspired story. Yeah. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. It has to deal a lot with humanity and the fairy world and hedge witches, and I don't know, I just feel like this could be a lot of fun, and I don't know if it's for all ages yet. I want to assume it is, because the two that they describe for it are The Last Witch and Sabrina the Teenage Witch. So to me that says, hey, this is going to be all ages, but I'm not sure.
It does kind of look like that, but and I think that Boom has been doing some good like all ages titles alongside its more darker, grittier ones. So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Hey,
so that's it for Boom. Aftershock has Beyond the Breach with Ed Brisson. Mm-hmm. I am really excited for this because it feels like Pacific Rim mixed with a little bit of
relationship drama. Right?
Relationship drama. Yeah. So it's about a woman who finds out that her boyfriend has been cheating on her with her sister and decides to go on a road trip. And I guess there is a breach and there's a bunch of kaiju. And let's be honest, Aftershock has been killing it lately, especially when we look at post-apocalyptic titles. So we look at We Live, we look at Beyond the Breach, we look at Nuclear Family. This is going to be a no-brainer pickup for me, honestly.
Yeah. For sure. Like at least issue 1, and then we'll see if I keep going. But Aftershock, like you said, has just been absolutely murdering it in a good way.
Murdering it. From Volt Comics, The Last Book You'll Ever Read, with a cover by Jen Hickman, who we know you love and are a huge fan of. This is another post-apocalyptic story where it's like cults and her book is like, it's the last book you'll ever read. Volt's been killing it. Volt's been killing it with horror. Do I
and
have
this is Cullen Bunn. So I feel like even though Cullen Bunn, like some of the stuff is great, some of the, it's kind of like, it's either like it hits the mark or it really doesn't. So I think that a lot of people will really like this because Cullen Bunn is usually has more hits than misses.
More hits than misses for sure. And like that cover, Jen Hickman, she's just fantastic. We love her.
Jen
they?
Yep, they. Mm-hmm.
Oh, they. Okay, thank you for correcting me.
You're very welcome.
We love Jen Hickman. Never Never. This is from Heavy Metal. I almost skipped over this. However, this is supposed to be a darker, creepier Peter Pan, where I'm 100% in on it. Like the cover doesn't really look that great, but I happened to click on it and read the premise, and the names are switched up to be a little bit darker, which I think is interesting. There's talk of cannibals on the island. Listen, Peter Pan is, when you think about it, when we think about Peter Pan, it's a fucked up story. Like they're literally kidnapping children and telling them that they can never leave. So I don't know if like a horror Peter Pan has ever been done before. I'm sure it has.
A horror book in and of itself.
I don't know if it has, but I feel like this is a no-brainer that this should have been done. So I'm actually pretty excited for this one. I hope it's good. I really hope that this one is good. Behemoth, we talked about this backstage. So this is a movie tie-in. However, I feel like the only other Behemoth title we really liked was also a movie tie-in with A Girl Walks Home Alone at Night. So Spare Parts, this is like a grindhouse horror flick that is now a comic, but it's a one-shot. But like, look at these covers. Like, and if it's just ladies wanting to get revenge after they've been, sewn together with weapons, like, it just seems like it could be a good time. Like,
this is like everything to me. Like, put this in space, and it hits like every single mark for me.
Ooh, put them in space. You heard it. Jen wants them in space.
Yeah.
From Action Lab Comics, this is, I believe it is Crash and Troy. It's explosions, space chases, it's bounty hunters, but I personally really wanted to showcase this book because it's done by our pal Jared Luhan, who did Dryfoot. And we absolutely loved Dryfoot. So I personally will support Jared Luhan in anything that he does. He's honestly like, he's a Superman when it comes to comics. Like he was talking on Twitter that he spent 7 hours just reaching out to comic shops and calling and emailing people and talking about comics and trying to push his work. Like seriously, this man is amazing and has such a passion for this medium. And like I want to see him become the next big writer, y'all. We need to make that happen.
I will say this. If it wasn't for Jared Luhan reaching out to me on Instagram and providing an advanced copy of Dryfoot, I would not be into Mad Cave Studios if it wasn't for Jared Luhan, because I wouldn't have read that. I also wouldn't have read, Terminal Punks. I wouldn't have read Villainous. I probably wouldn't have read Stargazer. So if it wasn't for Jared reaching out, wouldn't have been reading any of those.
Jared, we love you 100%. You're awesome. We want to see you do the greatest work in comics ever.
We'll definitely bring this up.
For sure. Scout Comics, who we've always talked about is hit or miss, has 2 that are kind of interesting to me, I think, for the month of July. So the first one is Tart Toxic Origins. This kind of reminds me of Carmen, where it's about a person who has to ferry people between life or death, and it gets a little weird and a little cosmic. So maybe a little bit of Many Deaths of Layla Starr, which we know is your favorite book on the whole wide, or you've never read it. You've never read the book. So, but Heart Toxic Origins just seems like a lot of fun. Also from this is from Behemoth. We're jumping around. We added this one in the last minute. It's Cinnamon. It's about a cat who's bounty hunter, but it's like the life of a cat and in the views of a cat. I don't know. It feels like the cat version of Stray Dogs, but without the horror and instead with punchy, cool stuff. I don't know. It just seems really cute. I've been burned by Behemoth before, though, in the past, so we'll see. Fingers crossed for this one, though. Back to Scout, though. We don't kill spiders.
Looks so good.
It's pretty. It's just, listen, it's gorgeous.
I think that this is We Don't Kill Spiders might be the scout book that like burns me though, because there's so many that I love and so many that just like hit it, like did not make the cut for me. Like I loved Canopus and I loved Gut Ghost and Yasmin. Like I loved those titles, but there's so many others that I didn't. So I think We Don't Kill Spiders is part of their Black Caravan line, which is more horror inspired. So I'll be curious to see if I like this one.
It definitely seems like a good one. And then I believe that this is the last one that we have. I'm personally really excited about this one. Listen. Somebody made this book thinking about me. And it's called Savage Hearts by Dark Horse Comics. And it is about a buff lady barbarian looking for love. Hear me out. Just hear me out right now. It's right here. I'm right here. Okay. Look for love right here. I'm here. You know, let me romance the big buff barbarian lady. So this is probably the book outside of maybe the big two and outside of Bad Blood that I am really, really excited about.
So funny thing, Savage Hearts is written by Aubrey Sitterson, who also did No One Left to Fight. I haven't read that one, but Aubrey Sitterson also did Beef Bros. So I backed their Kickstarter, got this lovely book in, love it a lot. So if Savage Hearts is anything like Beef Bros, it's going to be completely different, but I know I'm going to like it. So
it's going to be a fun time. It's going to be a fun book regardless, I think. But that is everything for solicits in July. If you are excited about any of these books, please
you better have been taking notes, because there will be a quiz in July. Just wait for it. There will be a quiz in July, and we'll talk about the. I'm just kidding.
There will be a quiz. It's a good thing we have a replay, so that way you can go back and you can take notes. You can tell your shop, I want this book, and this book. Tell them Jen and Mars sent you, and you'll get extra credit, brownie points, I guess. Nothing. I don't know. You'll get nothing.
That would be nice. That to me would be making it. If it was like, go into your local shop and tell them that we sent you and get discount. Like that to me is like how I know that I would have made it.
Yeah, sounds right. Any last thoughts on any of the books we talked about? I know I kind of ran through like a animal.
Yeah. I am very excited about a lot. I'm still kind of timid on a couple. We'll see. Like I said, at this point, I just let the stack tell me what I'm going to do. I do have a whole stack of stuff that I'm going to try to get through this week that I'm looking at here, because I get my second COVID shot tomorrow. So,
which means you are going to be in bed.
Yeah, hold on. Let me do this. Here, I'll go ahead and do this. So yeah, I'm getting my second shot tomorrow. And so I have loaded up on every single like over-the-counter medicine that I could think of. Have like I don't drink Pedialyte, but I've got like low sugar things in the fridge, and basically just preparing to get this shot tomorrow, because I know I'm going to be in bed for the couple days, and either I will read everything in this stack
or nothing.
Part of what I do have in this big old stack, Josue asked about it, but it's like underneath right here, and it is Monsters by Barry Windsor Smith, who apparently pitched this Incredible Hulk title to Marvel years ago, and they never did it, but actually stole it from him. So it took like decades for this story to come out. So it's a thick book. So I'm going to see if I can get through that. But like I said, it's either going to be read everything or read nothing. So that's what I have planned this upcoming week.
She's going to read all the books, y'all.
I'm going to try to. I'm going to try to survive, but do you have any last thoughts on books that we talked about or things that are coming up? What can we get from your channel?
So I just uploaded a new video. Was it last week or this week? I don't know. Time doesn't matter anymore.
Like 3 days ago?
I think it was a couple days ago. It was fairly recent, but I did just upload a new What I've Been Reading, where I kind of discussed how we talked about House of M, we talked about Department of Truth and some other wonderful books. So that is currently live on the channel. I did just recently review the footage for my New 52 rant / why the New 52 failed video, because everybody talks about the New 52. We always talk about what books were bad, but we never go in and dissect what did and did not work. And I'm actually kind of proud with how the footage came out. So I'm going to edit that and hopefully throw that up in the channel within the next couple of days. And then I got to figure out what else to do from there, because burnout is a real thing. So chat, give me some ideas. Give me some stuff to film, some recommended readings y'all want to hear from me, possibly, or just rants in general, so that I can fill you guys with lovely, lovely content.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about this New 52 that you're doing. Because I know a little bit about it, because like, you know, we talk outside of this. So I'm really curious to see what happens with that, because I think it's one thing right now, like if you did a video and you're like, why the future state event failed, like it's one thing to take a look at it now, but obviously stories have come out since then and we've gotten a little bit more news since then, and we have that perspective of what, 15 years? No, 10?
It's the 10-year anniversary of the New 52, which is why I was like, this is a good time to talk about it. That and the New 52 is honestly how I was introduced into comics. So, you know, looking at how Baby Mars kind of idolized the New 52 and was like, this is the best thing to happen. And then as I went and read stuff before the New 52 and things post New 52 and kind of seeing maybe the New 52 wasn't as great. And I just got a lot of theories behind it that are going to come to light. It's going to get me blacklisted.
There's going to be a lot of hot takes, and that's really what I'm here for.
It's going to be a lot of hot takes.
So I think that, I mean, we're almost at 3 hours. So I think that we, you know, wrapped up a lot.
It was a massive stream.
Who's been here for the entire time. I love you so much for everyone who's been here the entire time. I really, really appreciate it. Please, if you haven't already, do the like and subscribe thing. I'm pretty sure I'm supposed to say that a million times. Please go and do that, because like engagement matters. We will be here next Sunday talking about, once again, all the books that we liked this upcoming week. So
all the stuff we didn't like.
All the stuff we didn't like, we talk about all those. But like I said, if you haven't already, go sub up Mars. I did go ahead and drop a link in the chat. So since we are closing out now, I give you permission to go subscribe to her channel. But I hope you all have a wonderful, beautiful Sunday, and we will see you next week.
Bye. Bye.